One of the most interesting things that I have seen in the firearms industry is the rise of Staccato. They were originally a company called STI who made 2011s for the competition market, primarily USPSA and IPSC. And a few years ago, they 180'd their brand completely and wanted to focus on more duty style, duty specific carry guns and get away from some of the competition guns that they were originally known for. Now, I've owned a Staccato, or I should say a 2011 from STI, from Staccato, since before owning a Staccato was cool. This is my STI Steel Open, DVC Steel Open, that was made by STI originally, and then it was heavily modified by Alzida. So I bought this gun years ago to play with, to shoot an open gun and see just how fast I could shoot it. And frankly, I wish I had never bought this because I never shoot it. But they used to make guns very similar to this right here, and lots of other models. And then a little bit later on, they were like, hey, we need to rebrand. We need to focus on a new customer segment. Let's take our 2011s and make them a little bit more practical.
A little bit more better.
Debate online whether the new Staccato pistols are actually reliable handguns, if they are duty rated, or if they're more of sort of a range toy, a cool Hollywood gun that makes people feel really good and are just a nice gun to shoot. And I have many opinions about 2011s in general, not necessarily Staccatos, but what we want to do today is myself and Brantley are going to take 3 different Staccatos. We have the CS right here, which is their little compact hybrid stack gun. This is a 16-round magazine. It's not the same size as a standard 2011 magazine, so it's a little like mini 2011. The P model, which is probably the most popular and also the most accessible 2011 Staccato version. And of course, the very fancy Staccato XC, which has the built-in compensator and just looks like an absolute John Wick gun. It's got the mag well, got all the cool stuff. And what we're gonna do is in one day, we're gonna try as hard as we can, we're gonna be shooting 2,000 rounds through all 3 of these guns each. So this is all my ammunition that I'm gonna be shooting, and we're not just gonna be shooting one ammo type. So I have Winchester 115 grain, 800 rounds of that, 200 rounds of 147 hollow points. I've got PPU ammo, 124 grain, SMB, let's see what this is, 124, and some ZQI Turkish ammo in 124 as well. And we're gonna see just how these guns cycle all of this different ammunition, because that is something that I have experienced here on the range with these guns. We've shot these a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, that they don't always like all types of 9mm, all types of ammo. So we're gonna be mixing it up with a number of different manufacturers and grainages and types of ammo, and we're gonna see what happens. Now, the magazines we're using today, we do have some Staccato magazines, and this one actually says STI on it. So we're gonna be shooting these through the guns, but we went and supplemented what we have with Springfield Prodigy magazines. So these are 50 bucks a piece. They're a little bit more attainable than your standard Staccato magazines, which range from $70 to $80 depending on what you buy. And I will say that is cheaper. It is expensive, but that is cheaper than they originally cost. When I was purchasing magazines for my STI down there, I was spending about $120 to $140 a magazine.
Jeez, dude, 140?
Cheaper and more attainable, which is awesome. And then the Prodigy magazines are 50 bucks, which is not too bad. So we have a bunch of these, but if we start to have equipment issues, firearm issues with the Staccatos, and we're using these Springfield magazines, we're not necessarily going to know if it's a Staccato issue or if it is a Springfield magazine issue. So we're going to try to, we're going to try to be objective about this. If we have issues while using actual Staccato magazines, well then there's an issue with the Staccato magazine gun combo and what is happening. As far as price point on these guns, these are very expensive, as many of you guys know. The CS comes in at $2,500. The PE comes in at $2,500. And the XC comes in at a whopping $4,300. And that doesn't include optic, weapon light, extra magazines. I think that comes with one magazine for that price. So this gun is the price of a very nice rifle with an aim point, with a laser, with a flashlight, with a suppressor. This is a whole lot of money right here. So we have about 10 grand in Staccatos. We're going to
hear the voice crack.
4,000 rounds. Let's see what happens. Well, that's lame. Okay. So, that's a sub 2. 10 meters. All A's. I don't like this, though.
Yeah, how far they are apart.
And this is like a thing that is happening on, I think, my second shot. I'm firing, the gun is rising, and it's not falling. It's not like recovering as fast as I'd like. I like guns that are snappy, and this is not snappy. This is like shooting a Scar 16 is what this is. So as the gun's coming down, I fire early, and I get one right here. And that's where like I have all these extra rounds that are high and right in the recoil of the gun, not settling with the gun. When I settle, it looks like this. That's good. That is not. But that's a sub 2 bill. Technically, that's passing at 10 meters, but I don't like it. A 113 draw, hitting the safety, which my hands don't like. A 1-8, a 1-8, a 1-7, a 1-9, a 1-4. I have to drop like more than my Glock to deactivate. It's super stiff. So slide locks work better. Like, or not. Hitting the bolt release with my left hand is pretty quick though. That's nice. All right, so I have a Prodigy mag in here. I just went to do a reload, and the mag, these flush fit Prodigy mags do not fall out of the XC. Like, so you got a depress. That's another thing I've noticed. This will slide lock on a single round on these and on the Staccato mags. So I'll be at slide lock, be like, oh sick, I can reload. And it's probably because this round is like kind of stifled down in the mag like this. But it's locking back on a live round. Like I've had that 3 times now. This mag
is it a brand new mag?
Fall out. It also weighs a lot with all the ammos. This mag falls out, so that one doesn't.
What's up, homie? What's good with you?
Okay.
How are you? That's Sammy Whammy right there. That's Samsonite. Old Samsonite. Sam the man. Woman. What's up, homie?
Alright, so we are.
What's going on? What you up to? What are you doing? Who you with? Where you at? Why?
Guns, and I think I have maybe shot 5, 6 mags, and this is a Staccato mag, the new one, Gen 3.
Cool
I just
patch,
had
bro.
a failure to eject, where I had a.
So they're just in here talking crap about staccatos.
The chamber, and it was still trying to feed another one in. So that is not a win for the Staccato. You can see it was easily cleared, but these are freshly lubed guns. I put oil on them. Around the
Bro, those guns are nasty. Don't listen to these dudes right now.
Don't know why this is happening. This is also with Winchester 115. I've also had 2 light strikes as well. So probably the gun, not necessarily the ammo.
It was the gun's fault too. What the fuck is stippling? Stippling is when you use a soldering iron to press a bunch of little dots into plastic, right? It's a type of grip that I offer rather than like these are regular 1911 grips. But stippling, it's worth looking up. It's really sick. If you go on my website, you'll see what some of those stippled grips look like. It's really insane. So these guns that they're running right now, none of them are stippled, but they might show you a stippled set on one of these guns too. They're insane though. Did I say depress? You burn little dots, like 40,000 dots. Right now we're in the very beginning stages, so it doesn't look like anything right now. What the fuck is stippling? It makes the grips really grippy. It's really good.
I'm surprised of how jumpy it is for being such a small gun. It's controllable, but it just feels jumpy.
See, like right now, this one's smooth. I just ground it down. I ground all the checkering off of it. It's a pretty long and grueling process, but the end result is always like fantastic. It's really worth looking into. If you have any guns with grips that you can stipple, it's definitely worth doing or getting done. Absolutely worth it. And mine are on sale right now. They $5. They $45. The grips alone are typically $45. To have something stippled, it's like another $100 typically. And I do them, the grip and the stippling, for $45 right now. Which is kind of insane.
Yeah, I like this more. I don't like having that stupid compensator. Okay, I'm not respecting that middle target enough.
Not enough money? What do you mean? I'm not charging enough? You're right, I'm not. But I don't know, I enjoy it. It's very relaxing. I get to stay at home, and they're usually about 80 bucks. And then they take about 2 hours to make.
3 alpha. Alpha! All alpha run. It's already there. And a 702.
Chuck, you want some? You want some grips, bro? I got you.
Kind of gripping. They're nice.
Take care of you, brother.
Rise and fall. Malfunction!
Alright, we have the
command for the website.
XC.
Yeah, I do.
Just shot the P.
Try exclamation point Hydra grips. It shouldn't be that. It should be exclamation point store or
Shot the CS, the little
or
mini
something.
gun,
Let me see.
or mini 2011, whatever you want to call it. Not very impressed by that, but I've shot this in the past and I kind of like it. Let's see what else it can do. kinds of good.
Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, check it out. It's an old website, but what happened here? I've been doing it for like 15 years now. Yeah, the site's about 15 years old. I haven't really updated it much. Just whenever I have sales, I update the sales. Dude, look at that. Holy crap. That thing is sick.
49 rounds in 13.58 seconds from 7-ish yards with one Charlie.
5.23, so 0.6 faster.
2, 3. 3 alpha. 3 alpha. 3 alpha, 1 Charlie. 3 alpha. 3 alpha.
3 Charlie total.
Yeah, actually no, we'll do an instant swap.
But we'll do opposite now, far to close.
No, we have to do close to far for comparison's sake. Ooh, those A's in the back are really good. I missed the safety. Time?
6.23.
No! No, really?
Oh!
Man, the safety
Your first
destroyed
shot
me.
was 131.
Look at this! Oh!
That target to this target.
That's hilarious.
That is freaking hilarious.
That's called being a retard.
I got 2 Charlies so far.
I did look, and then I did everything right on him. I was like,
4 Charlies.
I can shoot some of the time, and then other times I can't.
That dude's insane. Can definitely shoot. That guy's actually not normal. Would think someone would
920.
I suck. I suck at shooting. I suck at shooting today. It's not great. I should have shot more.
mold them that way. Oh, yeah, there is some that mold them that way, but or they don't mold them that way. They laser engrave them that way. But it takes the whole handcrafted portion out of it when that happens.
After the reload.
And but they do that.
Times changed.
So you're not wrong.
21 to
They
20.
do that. This is more like a service if you already had grips. If you already had grips and wanted them done, that would be something you could do. It's like, but instead of
Oh, thank you.
doing that service, I just
Hi, we just got
do
done
the service
shooting
because I
the
sell them
XC
regular
and the P
and I
for
sell them
about
like this.
700 to 800 rounds
Bet you
apiece
would
with just your
be into
115.
3D. Yeah,
I
so
personally had, I think, 2 failure to ejects.
I am a bit old.
And several light
I actually used to work on
that
like
we've also
the
had that kind of issue with light
first.
strikes, with the Winchester and other guns.
I don't know if they were the
So it's not
first
just like a
3D
gun specific,
printers
it's
because
kind
I
of
think they were
crappy ammo.
out for a
Some
long
guns have more
time.
to it than others.
But I worked
Glock
on
is
some
very have
in
issues.
college when they were in their like
Staccatos, we
early
have that.
stages.
So now we're switching over to
Um,
CPU,
that was
some
fun though. It was really good.
124
And yeah, you're right. 3D printing would be really good for
stuff,
something like this.
And we'll see how that fares.
But like the materials that the grips are made of, they're not just like a plastic. They're like a nylon resin mix. So I think what the guy was explaining is like there's glass involved, there's plastics or nylon. Like these grips right here, those are molded, injection molded grips. We break down normal plastic or sweat, I would think. I'm really not not too sure. I never was into like thermoplastics and stuff like that, or not on a heavy level. I don't know much about it.
Terrible. Absolute terrible.
Some people use G10. That's like another material that people use. But like this is the process of stippling, and some people sell grips as stippled grips, but they're not actually stippled. So that's like another thing too. Like people tend to fudge wording.
I shot the white guy. I shot both white guys. I shot all the white guys.
But yeah, here's a little progress. Doesn't seem like much right now. I have patterns that I do in my head for it to look the way it does. Yeah, man, it's pretty cool when you see this as a finished product. It's really sick. Or you've seen it, you saw it on the website. That's what they'll look like when this is all finished. It takes a long time, about 2 hours. I've noticed whenever I'm on stream doing it, it does take about 3 hours. But, you know, I don't mind. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself. Usually I have something in the background like this. Just like white noise. And it's something fun for you guys to watch if you're into gun stuff. Normally I play music when I'm doing this and not on stream, but they gave me so much crap about copyright stuff, so I'm like, okay, I'll just watch something.
This is like the Titanfall 2 smart pistol. That's what this is like.
Yeah, you want some grips, Chuck? Got you, cuz.
$15.63.
All right, so we just finished shooting all the PPU ammo, and I don't think I had any problems. I was mainly shooting that gun, and the last couple hundred have been on the. No,
I got a couple of EDC trays. Yeah, I do. You're right.
Malfunctions.
I got a couple of trays I have to do, and some decals I have to do later.
Yeah, probably.
Your boy's real busy.
So now we're on SMB.
Whenever Black Friday and Christmas are coming up.
And then we'll do 147 Winchesters in a little bit. But we'll do the Turkish ammo after this and save
Yeah.
it for the end, in case we don't get to it.
I feel you. So you can do this same process on rifles and stuff too, and shotguns, but not like the whole thing. That'd be a little excessive, and it would be like $3,000. But you can do like certain portions of where your hands would be going on rifles or on magazines. People do this on magazines, the polymer mags. Something like if you're in a really bad situation somewhere, right, and you're like mud or blood, all these things, water, right, they make everything very slippery. So these things make everything super grippy. Doesn't matter the place you're at or what you're doing. most people get these. First and foremost, it's definitely about the grip. The grip is so superior to regular grips. However, it's like a style,
So,
you know, it's definitely an aesthetic. People
running
love
the
the
SMB
aesthetic
at all.
from it.
now it's interesting because the XC is, but I noticed this earlier. The XC seemed to be eating the Winchester better. It's eating the SMB better. So the P is a little bit more finicky. And maybe it's because it's an older gun, but that, to be honest, doesn't really matter because this is a product that's on the market. So, all right, so now we'll remove. So it's not extracting or ejecting the ammo at all. New mag, Prodigy mag. All right.
Oh yeah, dude. So the way I used to put up videos trying to explain the grip to people, right? And the best way that I've come up with, imagine you're rubbing your hand on the concrete, right? So that's like super, super grippy, super aggressive, very rough. I would say this would be a step down from what concrete would feel like, right? Some people say sandpaper. I don't think it feels like sandpaper at all. This is a mild aggression, right? So it's not as crazy as concrete would feel, but it definitely has those same characteristics if you were to rub your hand across concrete.
Also Staccato, right? Technically.
A lot less, but that same feel.
So, that's STI mags having a problem. Prodigy mags having a problem. 2 STI mags having issues.
You can make it super aggressive, and you can make it very light.
So what I'm gonna say is
However, this is the one that I've come up with that's like always been, it's all around well.
This is enough for me.
But
for like any training session,
you can make it super aggressive, and it'll hurt you when you're shooting, actually, when they're very, very aggressive.
like what I'm trying to pay attention to. Not to mention, people don't think about this enough, but if you have a gun that is malfunctioning and having issues, that is going to distract you from actually training. And I think a lot of people don't think about that, or they don't realize it.
So the guns that he's shooting right now too, typically they come with stippled, hand stippled grips like what I'm doing. They come like that pre-installed.
So you want to minimize those mental issues so that you can get better at shooting faster. I'm getting tired. My hands, they don't want to work anymore. ZKY seems to be working, that's cool.
The very first round that I fired out of this gun from the 147 Winchesters is a failure to extract. Now this is with the Prodigy 20 round mags, so I'm not sure if a mag can cause ejection issues. Probably. I don't know. I'm not a gunsmith, but I don't think that's good though.
Yeah, not this guy, but the other guy. He's incredible. Like incredible. Lucas is the other kid. I don't know about this guy. He might be pretty good too. But Lucas is known in the firearm world as like the Shroud in video games.
Not support hand pressure.
For sure.
Let's see if it's limp wristing.
Insane. And he has a holster company, and they make top tier, highest quality
If it is a
holsters.
mag issue.
T-Rex arms. I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, then I'm like giving you wrong information, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
So, I don't think this is a mag issue. I think it's a gun issue.
No, I think that's a mag issue.
Is the gun too dry? Possibly.
Too super tight,
I don't know.
probably. The slide to frame fit on those guns
that's
is
unusual.
insane.
At this point, we're gonna go oil it up, and
Probably just needs to be broken in. Or the magazine is trash. The spring is too strong. The recoil spring could be too strong for that mag. There's like so many different issues that happen with firearms. Hard to pinpoint. Can't just say like a gun is bad, especially when it's the highest grade quality like that.
and the problem still persists. And
I
this is still
think
with
that's a magazine
Staccatos
issue.
Gen 3 mags.
Yeah, it just needs to be broken in. You just got to run 500 to 1,000 rounds through it probably.
Let's see.
And those magazines are probably super tight because they're Staccato, which STI, they're known for building
Whatever the heck that is.
the best 2011s.
Yeah. So
The
this gun,
absolute
out of the two
best.
we have the XC and the P. The P, which I'm shooting, seems to be the most ammo picky, where it only likes certain rounds and it does not like anything else. And apparently Winchester 147 hollow points is not something it likes.
You could do things like polish a feed ramp. You can run different mags. You can break it in. Why I like wheel guns, click boom. Yeah, that's true.
115.
I used to carry a lot of revolvers, like as a backup. That was my thing.
I'm not sure if we've just broken the gun or what, but now it's
But now I just run a little micro as a backup, and
with anything.
I run my full-size 1911. As much as people hate that. Everybody always has something to say about 1911, guys. It's so funny.
Alright.
I'll go up against most anybody with my 1911. No problem. I love that gun. That whole platform is good.
Another failure to eject.
I'm gonna have something to say, dude. Believe me, yeah. Try being in the gun world for 1911s and doing custom things for them. Holy crap! The amount of
Failure to eject.
shit you'll hear from people that they do have valid points sometimes, and they also just are so salty
Like really, really low,
that
so
you
I'm not
enjoy
gonna
something that they don't.
anything.
They'll always be like, "Oh, my Glock, my Glock, my Glock." Bro, your Glock is trash. My Glock, my Glock. Shut up.
We are getting close to being done shooting both of these guns. However, we've encountered a problem where the Staccato P does not want to shoot. It is now turned into a single action only gun where you fire and it gets a case that gets stuck in the barrel, which is not, it's a spent case. Every round is
This
trying to
guy
fit into it.
talks so much shit about the
We tried
staccatos.
New mags, Staccato Gen 3 mags, Prodigy mags, dry, freshly lubed. Nothing works. Winchester White 115, Winchester 147.
Worked originally.
Yes, it worked originally, so we're thinking something is up with the gun. And it just maybe it's too dirty. I don't know.
It's a mechanical
But we're gonna
thing.
spin testing on this gun. We're only like a few hundred rounds short on it, and now we're both just gonna start burning and blasting with the XC.
We're just gonna start shooting our our Glocks. You see the grips on that 1911 right there, or that 2011? That looks like stippled grips on the bottom.
Today.
On that silver frame.
you know, most of these.
2,000 PCO.
And then you said they each had a few hundred before.
This one probably has a lot more. Because I've heard
But-
stories of other guys shooting this gun a good bit, so it has.
We haven't had anyone shoot. I mean,
Call it 1,000 rounds total.
probably
combined.
1,000 before, because I mean it wasn't that much. But so that gun's
This is an older
probably
gen
around 3,000 and having problems.
This is, I don't know what generation and what year model.
I
it
wouldn't
is, but
trust
it
that.
definitely is
Just because they said
an older
someone's
gen
ran it
Staccato.
doesn't mean it has
So that
been.
might play into it.
Actually, no, we've only had it for like 2 years, I think. 2 or 3 years.
New or new or used?
It was new. I'm 99% sure.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. Okay.
problems, yay. Okay, let's shoot this. Let's shoot the race gun. So this is the 147 Winchester.
Race gun, yeah, let's see
all-point
that.
defense tactical loads, and we're gonna see if they work in this gun. I think they will. This gun has been eating everything, so I think it will be just fine. But let's just do a nice little bill drill.
Was this the $4,000 one? With the comp? Looks like it has a lot of muzzle rise, honestly. The flip, whatever you want to call it.
I'd say they work pretty well. One-handed.
That kid is really good,
Little
though.
one-handed bill drill.
Maybe, I don't know with this gun, but you have to watch his other videos. Look at that. That thing's not moving now. Holy crap. Okay. See, that's magazines, dude. That's not the gun. I don't care what anyone says.
Strategy mags are insanely stiff to drop out of the gun and do any sort of like speed reload. And you could say, oh, weak little hands. Well, I'm sure my hands are tougher at doing this stuff than most people who shoot guns. And if I'm having a hard time, so one of the things that I want to test is shooting this pistol
With gloves?
Gloves makes shooting handguns super annoying and difficult and challenging. But I actually have a theory that this gun may be easier and better to shoot with gloves than some other guns because of the weight, like the comp, the trigger is a little bit easier to pull than some guns. So the lack of dexterity in the gloved finger may not matter as much on a gun like this. So from a duty or tactical perspective,
See, it's scary with
gloves
people
might
like
actually be better on a
him
gun like this.
doing reviews
But I
on
don't
your
know.
guns because it
It's just a
makes
theory.
you make changes to your guns for real. Scary to have somebody like him have one of your guns in
Safety
his
part.
hand.
To get
Like if he had my grips in his hand, I'd be shitting bullets. But I think he would like it. But I haven't had anybody say anything negative. I don't care. Nobody, not one in 15 years. So that makes me feel good. But I would like him to have a pair of my grips on a gun. That'd be insane. I'm sure there'll be a few though.
socks. Stupid things. Part of it is these gloves aren't broken in, but twisting to hit the mag release. It's even harder with gloves on.
Ship him some.
All right, so we
I've
are
done it
done
before in the past,
shooting
not for him,
2,000
but
rounds
a lot of the big
through
YouTubers.
these various staccatos. Now, we
But
did
if
not
you,
shoot the
I
CS
found
a
out if you
lot.
don't pay these guys,
Just
maybe
a
not them,
disclaimer,
but
because
if you
we
don't
only have
pay
one magazine. We were not
big
able to do
YouTube
more at a
guys,
time. They were out of stock everywhere, I believe.
they won't
Which is
they
either a
won't
good
even
sign that there's
say
high
anything.
advancements,
They'll put your
or it's a
shit on
bad
their
sign
guns
that
and they
they're not
won't even
making
say a
ammunition,
thing
so the weapons
about
aren't
it,
fully supported,
anything.
yet.
I have
So
a
we
video
shot like
where a
3
guy
rounds through it.
a big guy
To
has
be
my
honest.
grips in a
We may have to
video.
revisit
I'll have
this,
to
but-
show
or
you.
not. We'll see. But we focused our energy on the P and
It was
the
for a
XC,
Christmas
which are far
episode.
more popular, I'm sure. They've at least been shown on social media and YouTube much more. And the thing that was cool about this gun, because I wasn't sure, like this was, you know, as we were going into this, I just assumed this gun's going to have failures because it's comped with a sight tracker type compensator. Like there's just going to be issues. Well, it so turned out that this gun ate all the ammo we threw at it. And the P was the one that actually had more issues with a couple of the different brands of ammunition. And then towards the end of the shooting, which, you know, would put 1,800 rounds on this and probably close to that. Well, actually, no, probably 1,700 on
So
this.
Chuck,
You know, because we shot a few hundred.
you know, it's
extra rounds
funny.
on this.
I used to be in
So
this
is the one that
world
actually had more issues,
where I used to
and
like
this one
not
was
idolize, but I would
which is
always
good
want to
because
be
it's,
where
you know,
these guys were and everything. And I used to go
this
to
is better
everything
if
that
you're able to
these
shoot,
guys were all at.
just fine.
And
So starting out
I used to
today,
follow
the
all
first
of
gun
them
I
on all the
shot
social
is,
media. If you look
I
on
shoot
my
comp guns
Instagram and
pretty
stuff, you'll
lax,
find out that I don't
something that
follow a
occurs
lot of
very quickly,
the big
and
guys
I was
anymore.
finding myself not bearing down on the gun as hard as
I
should,
only
and
follow
actually
my
getting the
customers,
benefit
really.
out of the compensator. Now, this is how most
Right.
people shoot comp guns. Most people
Just
get a comp
because
gun, go
I
and
found
do
out
the
how
work for me,
much
and then they let the gun do all the work,
they're all
and it ends up
bullshit
being
artists,
about as
all
much
of them,
recoil as a normal gun
all
that
of
you
them.
just grip
They
on.
all just want
So
money,
you're
which is
you're wasting a
fine.
lot of money on
You
a
could do
comp that
that.
you're not actually getting any
But
benefit from. But later on,
all
hey,
they
I
will
decided
not
to
support you.
this
They'll
gun,
not
shot
be
that a bunch,
friends
and then
with
came
you.
back
They'll
to the
not
XC, and I started gripping it a little bit
show
more,
you any
which
support
is kind of
unless you
awkward.
put money in their
Something I
pocket.
noticed right away, due to
And
how
that
fat
went
the
for
grip
like
is and how shallow the
98%
frame
of
is
them.
and how smooth.
The only
At
dude
least
that
for
was
me,
cool
was not a great
and
place for my support
actually
thumb. Just kinda
supportive
hung out,
by
and I didn't
or
feel
two
like I
two
had much to
companies.
grab onto
One guy was
with
Mr.
this
Guns and
one.
Gear,
And that carried over
right?
to this gun as well.
He does
even though it
not
had
care to
has a
to
much more
for you to
textured grip,
pay
it's
him
also
or
more
anything. He
painful.
was cool.
It was kind of the same
And he
thing. It was
noticed who
really
I was
inside,
and
just not
everything. I
something
used to
you can
be
dig your thumb
something in the
into
gun
like on other
community.
pistols. But later on
Not
in the day,
huge,
as I
but
learned this gun and figured
people
it
knew
out,
who I
started
was.
gripping it a little bit tighter,
And
I got much better performance out of it. So if you're someone who
and then we
interested in
like
buying an
shooting.
XC,
That was the
or
only
interested in buying a
two
gun that is
that were
similar,
really cool.
just
Coleon
understand that
Noir,
this thing is not going to do much for you unless you're actually gripping the darn thing and shooting it
TGC,
properly.
right? Gun
Otherwise,
Collective,
and you can see it in people's videos, the gun
James
does a lot of
Yeager,
wobbling and fishing around,
which
and
I
that
love James
means
Yeager, but
you're not actually getting any
you don't
benefit
pay
out of
him,
the compensator itself.
or
Now,
he's
when I
dead now.
transitioned
But
over to the P after shooting this initially, I actually shot this better.
military
Real
arms,
similar to my Glock 17 that I shoot all the time.
you got to
It's just
pay
like a
these
normal
guys
gun,
for them
and
to
I actually
even
really enjoyed shooting it
see
just
you,
normal, like standard.
like
Then
to
when I
be
came
your
back to it, I
friend,
was
or
like, okay,
or
like,
even
this
say
is
your
a little
company's
different.
name out loud.
So that was my experience
Nobody.
with it. The reloading, I will say, first off, the Prodigy mags worked. They seem to work pretty well in all the guns. However, I would stay away from the flush fit mags.
But Mr. Guns and Gear,
I could not get them to drop
definitely,
on any of these guns
he knew who I was
almost
before
a
I even
bolt
said
out.
anything to
Probably
him,
because
which
it's a tight
was
fit
really
around the
amazing.
mag well, with the flush fit
Mike, I
magazines. That's an
think.
actual Staccato. This is a Prodigy.
1776 United.
But all the ones with the
Very,
extensions,
very
one of
cool
these
dude.
had
He
the
brought
longer
me
one,
to
those drop free just fine.
a couple of
Now,
events
they
that
still
were
stiffer, and I think it's
way
because
too expensive for me to
material
even
finish on the actual magazine,
attend,
they
and
were
he
much
paid
stiffer
my
to
way in.
actually release out
That
of
was
the
a cool
gun
dude.
than the actual Staccato magazines. So I do think the Staccato magazines are superior. If you were to buy magazines, they are more expensive.
Hold on,
So if you
my
want
buddy
to
Trent's
get some
calling me.
Prodigy mags to kind of beat up,
Trent,
you know, for your Staccato, and then get your
I'm
Staccato
streaming
mags
right
for,
now.
like,
What's
your
up?
duty or your house gun, or for actually
I'm
doing things
streaming.
with, that might be a good course of action. But I would stay.
Yeah, I'm
clear
doing
of flush
grips.
fit until I don't know, they figure out how to make them drop free, because that's
Yeah.
important.
Check it out.
Yeah, so my findings are pretty much the same. I have shot
Bro, whatever,
XC,
man. I'm
a few
driving.
times before I took it out from a personal range day because I was interested in it. And
I'm
it definitely
driving
does
this
have a
stream
tendency to
into the ground.
make you lax because it shoots so well that you're
No,
like,
I'm
hey,
just-
I don't have to do too much to it. The gun allows me to do it or do it for
I
me.
wonder if they can hear
That's
you.
just not the correct
I'm sure
way
they
to do it
can.
for sure. You actually kind of have to think about the fundamentals more so, I think, with that gun because it shoots so
Yeah.
well.
What are you
versus
doing?
A gun like even the P, like it
Same
tells you,
way.
hey, you're not doing the fundamentals correctly. Like if you're receiving the feedback from the gun,
You're coming through
it
my
tells you and makes you stay more
microphone.
aware of maintaining fundamentals.
not
XC does not do
on
that.
the stream.
I
You're
had a
coming through
lot
my
of
microphone to the
malfunctions.
stream.
Like the first mag, I had malfunctions with this gun. Failure to extract. And
Good,
pulse
man. I'm
rate,
glad.
with
What are you
my
up to?
115,
Are you
and
going to do
I
that
think
trade
everything
or
with
the
ammo
thing at
with this
Best
gun as
Buy?
well. So I'm not sure if this is just a R specific P that is messed up because this is not a brand new gun. We've actually shot this
Okay.
for other post development things, or if it's just the whole P line in general because this is their.
I'm talking to Chuck right now. What's up?
So I'm not sure about that. Like I said, the XC
Yeah.
is much less ammo finicky than it was. And then just the whole like.
Check out the
feature
stream though. Let me know.
on these guns is just not fun. It just digs into.
All right,
the back
get
of
on.
your
Check out the
web of your
stream.
hands. I mean, I shoot a Glock,
All right,
which is literally
I'll-
like a rectangle. Like it's not comfortable. And I'm saying this is not comfortable.
Chucky, that
So
was
take that for
Trent,
its worth.
old Beethoven.
Yeah, we didn't even do any appendix carry, which is even worse. When
Yeah,
you
no, I
start
would not
getting
want to
into
appendix carry.
trying to grab it.
Old Tovan.
One thing to note too, is we lubed
What's
these
going
guns
on,
when we
YouTube?
first started, so they had a good baseline. They were not.
What's
clean,
this
they were
stream
just
look
wet.
like to everybody? You guys
And we also
care for it?
grip
Don't care
taped
for it?
the,
Think it's cool? Think it's not cool?
whatever this safety is, the backstrap
Beaver
safety.
tail, back
It's a little
beaver
different,
tail safety.
right?
Beaver tail
Because you got
Because I've had
3
issues
things to
with that,
look
so
at.
I'm
You
not
got,
hitting
you
it
can
off
watch
the
me
draw,
do the most
because
boring
it's
thing in the world.
different grip.
You can watch
So
these
just
guys
maintain
shoot and
the
talk shit
comfort.
about these
I
guns.
wouldn't recommend that if you're going to carry it, or if for duty purposes, or whatever it may be. So if this is your specific gun that you train with, get good with that.
What's
For us,
everybody think?
block shooters, we can
What's
get away
anyone
with
think?
doing it for a
No
day.
one's talking on
No,
YouTube, but
Oh,
I'm on
Do it
Twitch
anyway.
as
Do it
well.
all
If
the
you
cool
ran
guys
this
do it.
in
Yeah.
appendix with the grip safety tape, I would be highly dangerous to run that very close to valuable items. I wouldn't.
You don't
would
want
not
to.
trust that.
The bigger issue with that is not that these aren't like drop safe and the hammer can fall and stuff. The issue I actually have is accessibility from the appendix carry position, because this is so. If you draw any gun with a beaver tail in the appendix carry position, it is not a fun time.
What do you think,
typically
Chuck?
you're
Do you
running
like
the thumb
this?
on top of the slide. You're not
Been
trying
in
to,
a
like,
few
get past
gun
your
channels on
stomach
Twitch,
and
all
your gut,
D-bags.
and you just
Yeah.
can't do that
Well,
with a hammer
you
gun.
should
So
see
we
the
need
real
this
big
stuff. I will
dudes
say,
on
we did have side cards out
YouTube,
here, so we make
bro.
holsters for staccatos.
I
We've been doing that for a
oh
long
my
time.
gosh,
We have
I have some
appendix
crazy
and concealed
stories,
options for these guns,
but
but when we got out here,
that's
I
all
was
they
like,
are.
you
They're
know
just
what? We're gonna
stories.
focus on shooting. We're already going to be close to time, shooting 2,000 rounds, which takes a long time.
They're all
Especially
stories.
since
I
we
got a
wanted to
bunch
actually
of
shoot
them.
drills and see what's going on. We don't want to just spam into the berm and shoot
Is
crap.
Sam still
We
here?
don't want to do that. We actually want to like figure out
What do you
what's going
think
on
of
with
the
guns.
stream,
So we ran
Chuck?
Ragnarok
I know
holsters and
it's
rag
not
carriers just for
gaming, so it's
efficiency,
kind of
and
like
it's the
whatever.
same holster that we use
But
for everything
is
else,
it
so we can
fun?
have a good
Is it
comparison of performance and skill.
something
Sidecars and
straight?
stuff, like, yeah, you can absolutely get one for weapon light, for the gun.
entertaining at all?
Running at 3 or 4 o'clock. Most people, I think, are not probably running these as EDC guns, although
I don't even know how the audio sounds, if it's too loud, too not loud enough.
That's what you're gonna do.
I
Especially
like
once
this
you
kind of
add
stuff.
a
Heck yeah, man.
X300 or something similar to it.
I do too,
so
honestly,
that would be-
but I don't get to.
It's very big. Now, as far as
Either I'm doing this
worth it
shit
to
or
buy,
or I'm working
to me, this is
at
one
the
of these
restaurant.
guns
So
where the people that are buying these are buying them for a
we got
multitude of
20-something
reasons.
people in
But a
the
lot of people that
YouTube
I've
chat,
talked to and I've seen are
or
buying
not
it because
YouTube
they want
chat,
a cool
but in
gun.
the
They're
YouTube
not
stream.
necessarily buying it because of like the insane reliability or the awesome like trigger, and I would say the trigger in that gun actually sucks, or not that one.
It was much higher
trigger in
earlier,
this one's a little
but
better.
I
I'm sure
think
you can
people
lightly
got a little.
adjust it.
Oh, now it's going up
Most
again.
people are buying a
I
Staccato
guess
because they
people are
wanna
like,
shoot
"What the
better by
hell is
buying
this
a piece
guy
of
doing?"
equipment. And these are, if you give this gun to a new shooter compared to something else, they will shoot this gun better.
I was
than
hoping
something
that
else.
somebody
I don't think it's going to be that
has
much
done
better
or
in this
does
case,
stippling,
but people will
right? And they'd
feel
be like,
like
"You're
they
doing
will
it like
feel
shit,
like you're a
blah,
better shooter shooting this
or
gun
something."
because
You know,
it
how people
does
are.
sort of shoot itself a little bit easier. I will say though, starting out in the day, I was not doing real well with this gun. It doesn't shoot itself completely. You still have to put some input into the gun and get it to do the things that you want it to do. So if you're someone who wants to buy the gun for fun, you want to have a cool gun, you want to show off, you want to go to the range, you want to split it really fast.
Volume's all good.
Absolutely,
Heck yeah.
buy a Staccato. They're great for that. If you're someone who is trying to buy a gun for reliability and something to protect yourself with or protect the lives of other people, personally, I am not going to trust my life to a 2011. Not right now, maybe in 5 or 10 years or so, but just due to the reliability issues that I've seen with these guns in the past and even saw today, and magazine issues, some of the ergonomics, the ability to carry an appendix or not be able to carry appendix well, there's just not a good reason for me to buy a gun like this for the
This is
purpose
what
of
Trent used to run
protecting myself
as
and
his
other people.
EDC.
I know there's guys out there
He always
who
carried
run it outside the waistband.
one of those guys. One of those.
And the intent is, if I have to draw this gun and use it, I
Or
want to
he's
use
had
the
a
best gun
couple of 'em.
possible, the best weapon system, so that I can deliver accurate fire on a threat as fast as possible. And like, I get all of that, 100%. However, the gun needs to work. The gun's gonna have to work when it comes out of the holster. It doesn't.
This
matter
is
how
the
good
only
trigger is,
time
it
that
doesn't
Trent
matter
would
how
hate
smooth
this
the
guy
gun
right
is,
now.
the
He'd be
gun
like,
is going to have to
"Lucas
work
doesn't know what the hell he's
reliably
talking about, dog."
99.99% of the time, in my opinion, or somewhere around there, if you are trusting the lives of other people with it. And personally, I would not be using one of these
That
guns
kid
for
loved
That's
his
not to say, though, 'cause I know some
his
people get
2011.
all fired up in the comments. If this gun were in my house on the table, would I not go for it if something is happening? No, I'll take this gun over nothing. But I'm still going to prioritize other guns, Glocks, M&Ps, than a SIG, to be honest. And a lot of other guns over a 2011. Now, maybe I'm just a Glock snob, and maybe you are too, but there are enough issues with these guns, and we're not the only ones who've had them, that I don't think it's something that people should be buying as their only gun for personal defense or for concealed carry. I think you should have something that is much more reliable. If you want to have a fun gun, awesome. You want to shoot matches, you want to shoot 3-gun, you want to go to tactical games, like, yeah, it's a cool gun. The stakes are not that high if the gun has an issue. But even today, I was getting very frustrated with the gun failing on drills, where it wouldn't cycle certain ammunition, so then that rep is completely wasted. And in a training environment, I don't tolerate that. If I have a gun that is slowing me down to have max efficiency, I get a new gun, or I change it completely, or I do something, because I'm not going to tolerate like a bunch of malfunctions and issues. So that's just my take on 2011s in general. I will say I'm more confident about this gun after today. Like, this gun ate ammo and it did things. Like, that was actually really cool to see, especially for $4 grand. Like, I'm happy to see that this did well. But it still had some
It has $4,000. It better do a lot more.
Like, yeah, I'm not gonna use one.
At the end of the day, if you spend $2,500,
Always wanted a SIG 357. I've had a few of them. Those things are sick.
So no matter what gun you buy, whether it be a Glock, Staccato,
it's a little bit
PDPs, MPs,
of progression.
go out and actually train with that gun and put reps on that one in dry fire.
There's a reason for all the squares and triangles, but
kind of learn the nuances of that gun and then can't transfer
I
those.
don't want to get all into it. It's a little annoying.
But you're not just going to pick up this
to
gun.
explain, but there's a reason for all that. I do patterns.
I will say,
that way I don't get bored
we were shooting
too,
because
it can definitely get boring.
It was fun.
It's definitely boring to watch, I'm sure.
That's what this is. Yes, it was fun. Am I going to prefer shooting my Glock tomorrow when we come out and film more stuff? Yeah, I'm going to prefer shooting my Glock over this. But it was fun to shoot, I will say, and have unlimited ammunition in the gun practically.
And they keep talking about it.
And one in the chamber. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, that's fun. But again, is it worth the money? Should you go spend that $4,000 on something else? Possibly. Probably. If you're made of money, yeah, go buy one. Buy 3. Shoot them once a year when you go to the range and hang out with your buddies. Like, that's awesome. But for most people,
shoot them once a year. What a dick.
You need to be looking into rifle, body armor, night vision, training, ammunition for your Glock, so you can actually be a good shooter.
That's smart
those
though.
expenses will be much more beneficial than
Looks
something
good.
like this.
Thanks, man.
For $4,300 plus magazines and with tax, you're looking at $4,800 to get this gun right here, and then the optic. Although I won't count that because you would put that on another gun anyway. $4,800, you can buy a lot of cool stuff for $4,800, or you can get closer to being out of debt. So. Cool gun though, it ran. I was happy about that. We'll see about the P. And I hope this was insightful for some of you guys who are considering staccatos or you are interested in our take on staccatos. I would love to shoot like to 10,000 rounds, but that's just something that we're probably not going to do on these particular handguns. But there are some other folks out there, Ben Stager namely, who's taking these guns out and shot them quite a lot from an objective standpoint, who bought the guns with his own money and shot them.
Trying to learn some Radiohead. You play guitar?
Things to say as well. So if you're interested in more information on
what do you play?
Series, go to his YouTube channel and check out the videos that he did on the Staccato and what he found from shooting those things. And he was shooting those every day. He was going out and shooting like 1,000 rounds every day. And he did that for a couple weeks, and he got his gun up to 10 or so thousand, which
pretty
obviously we weren't able to do today. Although, I mean, we put 4,000 rounds on both of these guns combined, so that's not too bad.
I played guitar and bass, and I played the stand-up bass in high school. Walked around with a cello. Oh yeah, dude. I was never a cello player, but I played it some. What's a sick video? Part 5, shoot faster. He is fast. He's fast and accurate, this kid. I say this kid, he's probably older than me.
Welcome to part 5 of How to Shoot. Now in today's episode, we're actually going to
He does seem like a kid though.
Shooting
it's his voice.
Faster. In the last part, we talked about dry fire, which is something that you should be doing early on when you are first picking up a firearm, getting accustomed to it, getting familiar with it, with the most important thing being getting consistent sight alignment and sight presentation on different kinds of targets. So if you've been spending time doing that since that part, you've watched that part, you should have that pretty squared away, and now we can start getting into recoil management, shooting a little bit faster, and also dealing with targets that are a little bit further away, throttle control, and other things like that. Now,
You really train for when people shoot back. Can't.
Point of instruction that I'll be going over in this
Well,
part.
you
are
can,
going to need a range
actually,
that allows you to fire
but
more than 1 round a second, and
not
also being able to shoot
not so
targets
much
a
like
little bit further back. In this case, I'm
shooting
using a
at
target
something, but
25 meters.
getting cover
Maybe
and
they go
concealment and
back to
stuff like that.
50 or 40,
That's
somewhere around there,
fun
because there are certain
information.
things that's going
To
to
learn the
affect
difference
when it
between
comes to
cover
what
and
I am
concealment
seeing
and
in relation
how
my
to
sights,
get
in relation
to
that target.
certain things.
And while
That's
you
actually
can
fun.
simulate,
I'm
small
sure
targets
I'm
up
sure he's
close,
got some videos on it.
psychologically it is not the same as shooting a target
I don't know if he
further
does, but
away when
but
you can see, that is
I'll go to
actually
when
further
it,
away.
yeah.
It's
So
50
I've
meters or
seen
so, or
one
even longer
situation
than that.
where
So
things
it's
got
possible
real
to
bad
try to
real
find an
fast,
outdoor
and I
range
didn't
near
know what
you
to
that
do.
has bays similar
And it was when I
it's not
first
gonna
got
be
my
exactly
concealed
like
weapons
this, but
permit, so I
bays
like
that are 20 to
froze
25
like
meter,
a handicap,
pistol
and
bays where you can then
nothing
conduct your
happened. But
rifle, your
I mean,
AR-15,
a lot
5.56
of stuff
training,
happened,
as
but I
well
did
as
nothing,
your pistol shooting. But if you don't have a range like
and
that
that
near
was
you can
very
still do a lot with dry fire, just like we talked about
like
in part 4.
demoralizing.
And there might be a few things you can take from this video that you can take to your indoor range. Maybe your indoor range does not prohibit shooting, faster than 1 round a second. But in order to get really good at shooting, you are going to need to find a place that actually allows you to shoot properly. So starting off, we are going to talk about acceptable sight picture. So for this video, I have a M&P 16-inch rifle with a flash hider and a red dot. Like I said earlier in other parts, you do not need any sort
Chuck,
of crazy
if you only
firearm
knew how
shooting
many of
training.
these
All you
grips
need
I
is
have
some
to
sort of
do
rifle
this
with
week,
what I
oh my
recommend is a red
gosh,
dot,
and I'm not enjoying that,
for just working
but
on fundamentals.
I
And then I'm using my
I
Glock
do
17
enjoy doing
with
this.
a red dot.
But when
Again,
you
it's a
look
very
at
simple
it,
firearm. Many of you guys
oh
probably know
man, and
something
you're
like
like, I
this.
gotta do 10 of
Nothing
these.
super crazy going on right here.
Yeah, panic sets in. You get, yeah, that's true. Bro, I never felt like such a useless bastard too when I saw what was going on.
So for this, we have 2 targets set up. One that is nice and
I went
close,
to my
looks
car,
like
sat in my car right in front of where everything was happening, and I was so in shock that I pulled my phone out and I just stared at it, and I was trying to call the cops, and I just sat there and stared at it. Told my instructor after, smoked like 2 packs of cigarettes, and I was like, bro, I did nothing. Sometimes you act and sometimes you don't. And that's exactly what happened. I didn't.
And it's because they're not accustomed, or maybe they aren't allowed to at their indoor range, to shoot a target
that
much
was like
faster than that. And what they're doing in some cases may be a restriction by the range, but in most cases,
11, 12 years ago, something like that.
That they have up here, which is over confirming a sight picture on a target that is this large. And here's what that means. What a lot of people do,
and I trained a lot too for those scenarios, and I couldn't do it. I freaking was in shock.
Either visual focus, ocular focus, as well as mental focus, back and forth between the target that they're aiming at and the sights of their particular weapon, whether it's a red dot or a set of iron sights. Typically, this is more common with iron sights, but people do it with red dots. They're aligning the gun on the target, and they're doing a mental check of, is the dot on the target? What is the target? Am I looking at the right place on the target? Where do I aim on the target?
And I was in the way of a lot of bad things happening, and I was surprised that nothing happened to me. Holy crap, it was bad. I was in a gas station.
Now with training,
train to use your gun if you you train to use your gun if you pull it. Oh yeah, yeah. I trained a lot of different situations. I even trained a lot of medical things too, just in case you get hit or someone else gets hit, or the person that you shoot. Like, how do you save them from a situation? And bro, that all that knowledge went out the window when I saw people getting stomped. Everything, it just went out the window. I completely froze up and forgot everything. It's definitely a mental thing. You have to learn how to be mentally ready for a bad situation. So there was certain things that really sucked.
Where I need to start processing a better sight picture mentally and visually on the actual target itself.
There were things that really sucked about the situation. So I was in a gas station, and there was like 12 dudes that got out of a bus, right? Like a big bus, maybe not 12, maybe like 9 dudes got out of a bus into a gas station. I'm going to get an energy drink. And there's 2 clerks, right? And these guys walk in, and I'll never forget. Well, actually, I'll get to that. But one guy puts like, no shit, $300 worth of tips and drinks and everything on the table, and he's trying to use a credit card. I'm trying to pay for my energy drink, but the guy's not letting me pay because he's confused and watching this whole thing go down as well. And he's trying to use the credit card, and the guy goes, credit card's fake, or credit card stolen, da da da. And these guys start yelling back and forth, and he's like, it's not fucking stolen, da da da. And he's like, yeah, it's stolen. It's stolen. The clerk is saying that. And this guy reaches across the thing, grabs the clerk, pulls him over, and they start beating the ever-living shit out of this guy. Right? I mean, and that guy's teeny tiny, probably 100 pounds, if that. The other clerk that's dealing with me is trying to, like, I don't know if he was going to or away from that guy, but they jumped on him too. I literally start walking backwards to the door, the entrance or exit. And when I look back, I had my gun on me and everything. I looked back and I said, okay. And I had this little micro 380 or something on me. And I remember I was like, okay, I have 6 or 7 shots. There's 9 of these dudes. Even if I hit every single shot, even if it drops 1, right? I was like, they're going to kill me for sure. That's all these things go through your head. And I remember I was like leaning on the door, opening the door, and you hear chaos, like mental yelling, screaming. And these guys are jumping. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen. I've never seen when someone's getting their ass beat so bad and the guy that's doing it is jumping in the air and landing on his head with his knees. Right? So my first thought was these guys are dead. They look dead. They seem dead. And I remember I said, okay, well, I got my gun. I opened the door and you hear chaos, crazy shit breaking, everything, right? And then you hear outside people are pumping gas. You hear birds chirping. People are smiling. It's very normal, very calm, right? And then you look back inside and it was all hell breaking loose. I mean, crazy blood, everything, right? So you're sitting there like, brain is so broken at this point. And so I'm looking at this chaos, and then over here is happy, birds chirping, all that good stuff. I'll never forget it. Like, I remember hearing birds chirping and stuff like that. And I'm standing there. People are trying to go inside, and I'm like, no, like not like, no, you can't. I said, no, like, no, just like that. Like, no, you can't go inside. And I'm saying, like, why can't you go inside? Maybe you can help these people or something. No, I don't know. My brain was just fucked. So I go in my car. I'm looking at my phone. I remember I looked up and I still see them jumping and beating the shit out of these guys. And I just looked back at my phone, like, call the cops, do something. And I couldn't do anything. And I finally snapped to it, call the cops. They were like, yeah, we're coming. We already heard something's going on, blah, blah, blah. And when they got there, they asked me a couple questions and didn't really care, but the dudes that were in there, some of them were, I guess, ran. Some of them got caught. Insane. And I went back to that gas station like a month later, and I said, whatever happened to those guys? And the guy was literally like, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, got 2 guys that got jumped. Did they die or what happened? He's like, none of that happened. I said, dude, I was here. You could see me on the cameras. He's like, oh, I don't know. Never heard it. I don't know what you're talking about. Bullshit artist.
Later on though, through my career, I met some individuals who explained this process as reactive and
Insane.
predictive shooting, and it just makes a lot more sense. And what it means is, reactive shooting is, I'm going to react to this target, the far target in particular.
Yeah, that was the
based on
one
what my
time
dot
that
is showing on the target. So I'm only
it
going
was
to fire
crazy,
as soon
didn't
as
do
my
anything
dot
about it
lands on
kind
the
of thing.
target in the right place. So I am reacting to the sight picture on the target, which is ultimately how fast you generally shoot targets. It's all dictated by your dot or your
Wanted
sight
to,
landing on the target exactly where
but
you
I
actually
just
want to
couldn't.
fire the weapon and send the round. But predictive shooting is when you have a close target and you understand like how the firearm works, you've shot enough to know how much recoil there's going to be, and we're actually going to be sending a salvo of rounds off of maybe one sight picture. So this really close target right here, it's very large. I'm only 7 meters away. I only need one sight picture on it, and I can just rip the trigger as fast as I need to, and all rounds should be in the target. I don't need to arbitrarily slow myself down because I want to shoot a certain group on that target. And I don't have to arbitrarily slow down my shooting just because I'm shooting a further target if I target transition over to the far target. I'm going to be shooting based on how fast my dot recovers with every shot. It's going to recoil high and right in most cases. As soon as the dot lands on the target, I'm pressing the trigger and I'm good to go. So for you, starting to get into reactive and predictive shooting is starting to push the speed a little bit. You're not pushing speed arbitrarily off of, cadence, like some people have taught, and I have as well, of 1, 1000, 2, 1000. You are shooting entirely based on what your optic is telling you, based on your actual dot in relation to the target. And this close target right here is telling me when I put the dot on this target, there's so much space around the dot, I can just shoot this thing really fast. I don't need to take my time. I can actually split this thing really quickly. But when I transition to the far target, my dot's going to recoil.
It looks
over
like Trent
past
didn't
the target,
come
off the
in.
target. I'm going to actually have to recover and see a crisp sight picture before I
I told him
fire
to check
another
out the
shot.
stream. He
And
didn't
here's
even
what it
come
looks
in.
like.
Hey, if you conceal carry, then you're probably going to want this right here, the Vanish
You
holster
got?
in camo. And what's really cool is right now you can get one of them for free. And I'm not joking. There is a buy
I would
one,
never
get
run
one
that.
free on the Vanish camo holster today. Now, we've only got a limited supply of these. And once
Look
we
at this
run
shit
out, we
on
will
the
not be restocking on buy one,
back
get
strap
one
of
free.
that.
So do grab this right now. And if you need to know why you want to get this holster in the first place, well, let's just talk about this. It's the most comfortable holster on the planet. So if you don't carry all day long, this is going to change that for you forever. What we've done is just built this thing with premium materials like a really stretchy belt that wicks away sweat, moisture, doesn't get sticky, slimy, or odorous. It's got an awesome pocket right here that works with 99% of your guns, has level 2 retention, as well as a trigger guard, and carries 2 additional magazines.
Oh
And
snap!
on the
Tell me
back,
more.
we've got
And one more.
I think it looks pretty sick.
And that's what this looks like. So on this target at this distance, I'm getting a single sight picture on the initial presentation, and I'm just ripping the trigger. And with good recoil management, you'll see I can keep all my rounds in the center of the target. Now on the last rep, I was a little bit looser, and as I fired those rounds off, one jumped up here in the Charlie. And that's where the recoil management is going to make or break how fast you can shoot a target like this predictively. It also will apply to how fast you could shoot a target further away reactively, because you're only going to shoot as fast as your dot returns to the target. So a large recoiling firearm, maybe like a 308
Ooh.
with a flash hider, it's going to take longer
Dang,
for the
that
dot to
thing is
recover onto
nasty.
the target before you can actually fire again accurately. And that's why
Scar
recoil
17,
management is a
Scar
huge
heavy or
part of
whatever.
shooting accurate. Is you just need the dot to return to the same spot every time, and the better you can control recoil, the better and the faster you're going to be shooting that target. So this is what predictive shooting looks like. I know roughly how 5.56 recoils. I have enough experience shooting it. I'm pulling the gun nice and tight into the body. My initial sight picture is good. Then I can start throttling off rounds. And I recommend, as you begin doing this on a close target and building that speed and that familiarity, shoot 3+ rounds. Shooting a couple rounds is not going to give you a whole lot of information. You'll have a good initial sight picture, most likely, so an A-zone hit, that's solid. And then your second shot, will be up here, a little bit higher. Maybe it'll be center because you're letting the gun recover fully before you fire. You're not pushing yourself a whole lot. but it's only an extra data point. It's really only one data point. You got one data point for your initial sight picture, and you have one data point that's like way out here somewhere. But you start firing 3 or 4, now you actually have a pattern, you know, of what's actually going on with the rifle or with your handgun. So I recommend, as you are pushing yourself on a drill like this, shoot a little bit more than just 2 rounds. And 1 round is obviously not going to work for this really at all.
Beep.
1 more. Stand by. All right, let's look at it. So you'll hear that it sounds very different to be shooting a target further away than the close target.
What do you want to watch, Chuck? I'll put something else on.
Because there's no such thing for shooting. It's all based on how good I am at recovering.
I've been watching a lot of CQB stuff, right? Close quarter combat stuff.
I was visualizing
Man,
the upper
that stuff
half of
is
the A zone. That's where I want to shoot.
amazing.
For the most part,
That's fun
everything's
to
there.
watch.
I have
Or
one
for
little
me
guy
it
off
is.
here to the right, and that's where I go, okay, did I time the shot accordingly? Was I lax with my sight picture in relation to where I'm looking? You know, the dot's way over here. You know, I'm not actually placing it in the center of the target. But you'll see that I still have comparable hits to the close target, and I'm reacting to the dot. I'm reacting to the sight picture. So if you're utilizing these 2 methods of sight alignment, these 2 methods of sight acquisition, and you're pushing this consistently without utilizing weird arbitrary, you know, slow down and get your hits or speed up because you're really close, like that is not good instruction. What is good instruction is know what's actually happening here, and what's happening here is it's all about shooting off of my sight picture. My sight picture will dictate how fast I can actually shoot, and this becomes very important when you start shooting on the move, shooting in a weird position where you're not in the perfect recoil management stance, where maybe I am in an awkward position, and when I fire, the gun moves more than I'm used to. I'm not going to shoot at the same rate that I'm shooting this target in a perfect shooting
Get
stance.
off the X.
I'm going to shoot off of my sight picture. It really is that simple. And like I said, when it comes to shooting on the move, there's a lot more movement in the gun. You're going to be off the target, on the target. You can actually take your shot. So for this, you have a far target and a close target. This allows you to do pretty much everything that you need to. And then when you're ready and you're used to, you know, shooting off of one sight picture, getting comfortable, getting all those A-zone hits, also being disciplined and comfortable at letting the gun, you know, recover in recoil and seeing a sight picture before you fire again, then you could start putting both targets together in the same drill. But before we get into the fun stuff, we've got to talk about pistol. Now what's fun is all the principles that is talked about for shooting a carbine are identical to shooting a handgun. I have a sight on here, it's a gun, I pull the trigger and I decide when it needs to go off and where I want to put the bullet. So all the same fundamentals and principles apply. If I have a close target and I'm comfortable with my recoil management, I have experience with it, I know exactly what's going on, I can get a single sight picture on there and I can rattle rounds off. And for a handgun, predictive shooting is actually, I would say, is going to happen more often than, say, with a rifle, because there is a lot more recoil with a handgun. And where you can get a lot of performance gain is trusting your recoil, trusting your grip, and just letting rounds fly. However, you still do need to be getting that initial sight picture, making sure you're on the target appropriately, you're not moving off of the target too soon if you're transitioning, and then you just let the gun rip. On a far target, that's where we're going to do our reactive shooting. My dot's going to disappear out at the window of the optic in most cases, and once the
lighting
dot
is
lands
bad.
back where I'm looking, that's when I'm going to break the shot.
Look a lot better.
It's all
then.
shot timing, recoil management, and paying very good attention to what my dot or my sight is doing in relation to the target I'm currently engaging. But let's see what 3 rounds on a close target can look like. A little slow, but it's okay. So on that second one and on the first one, I only had one sight picture. I'm gripping the gun nice and tight, I'm putting it center right where I look, and I'm just rattling off rounds. And as you will see with training and consistent grip and consistency of holding the gun, properly, you can keep everything center with the target. And what's really fun is when you understand this is really what makes, you know, a difference in shooting fast or slow, is just based off of your sight and also your recoil management, you can get exponentially better at shooting, like way faster than most people who are holding themselves back with, you know, slowing down to get their hits and arbitrary amounts of time between different targets at different distances. As soon as you get rid of all that crap that like gets in the way mentally of what you should do, you can get good at shooting really fast. So that's, you know, some pretty fast shooting. I'm very close. It's a large target. I don't need to over confirm and sit there with the dot. And a lot of cases, it's gut. Your dot's on the target. It's around kind of where you're looking, like center up here. And a lot of people want to double check, triple check that whole checklist of, is the dot there? Is the target, you know, how far away is it? Am I comfortable taking this shot? Oh, where did the dot go? Oh, it moved. Oh, I need to bring the dot back to it. Okay, now is it on the target? Like that whole process, people double, triple, quadruple guess, when in reality, typically if you get a good sight picture, you're looking at a target in the right place, and then you make a gut decision of, hey, the dot just went there, I'm going to pull the trigger. In most cases, you're actually going to be just fine. But now let's shoot the far target and see what it looks like. All right. So you'll hear an obvious difference between how I shot this target and how I shot the target up close.
Yeah, you got a smaller
my dot
target.
is flashing off of the target a little bit. It's actually kind of moving up here into the head box, but I'm not trying to shoot the head box. And I'm letting the dot settle to where I'm looking, which is up here, sort of upper half of the A zone, and I'm good to go. Now this is where you could start doing a little bit of some diagnostics and go, wow, this is really close. You know, maybe I should speed up because I have a little more space in order to shoot and get A zone hits, and you can start playing with that a little bit. But for the most part, you just need a lot of reps on targets at different distances to get accustomed to, and this starts to like build up in your brain of kind of what you're going to expect in a certain target engagement. So when I shoot a target at 25 meters with a handgun, I know roughly how I'm going to need to shoot that. I've shot that target a lot. I know it's going to be slower shooting, technically, than a target up close. But I should be able to push the speed as long as my recoil management's good and my dot is recovering to the same spot consistently. And what's really fun with this concept, and this is just how shooting works, is theoretically, if you had really good recoil management, there is no reason you couldn't shoot this target this far away any slower than the target up close. The gun is still recoiling the same amount. The recoil doesn't increase as the target gets further away. And as long as the target is large enough to absorb impacts in that how much the gun is recoiling, I should be able to shoot this target just as fast as the target up close. But that takes a lot of training, it takes a lot of consistency. There are some guys who can do that, and that is the ceiling of really how good you can get at shooting, is how far back you can take a target but still shoot it just as fast as a target up close that you're so used to shooting just really insanely quickly. So that's what it looks like for a handgun. It's very similar than a rifle, but let's actually start adding both targets together and seeing what happens.
Spectrum abre cada día una puerta a
Oh,
posibilidades
wow.
sin límites. Con Spectrum tus juegos te transportan a otro.
Yep.
So what I just did is what a lot of people would call throttle control. I have a close target that obviously sounds like I'm shooting it a whole lot faster, and then a far target that I'm going to slow down and shoot much slower. And for that is correct. Like that is what is happening with this array of targets. And what I recommend is when you start doing this, swap back and forth. Start with the close target and start with the far target. And what you'll actually start to notice is your shooting changes completely based on which target that you start with, and I'll explain why. When people have a very close target and they're starting to get into the habit of speeding up on the close target because they realize that the gun doesn't recoil a whole lot, especially if it's a rifle, and I can get a single sight picture and just rattle rounds off, that's just what they expect to do on any target that's up close, and reasonably so. The downside is a lot of people, when they are untrained and they haven't shot a lot, is they take that same aggression and they apply it to all the rest of the targets in the stage or in the array or in the drill, regardless of how complicated or far away they are. If it's a target with like a hostage target in front of it, they shoot at the same speed as this open target that does not have a hostage on it. If it's a far target, they shoot at exactly the same speed as this close guy. And to some extent, that could be really cool. Like if your fundamentals are there, you're consistent with your recoil management, you're consistent at keeping the dot like where you're looking and not dragging on and off of the target, you can land really good hits shooting really aggressively, even if the target is far away or has a partial no-shoot like hostage on it. But in most cases, that's not what happens with new shooters. They're going to burn the target down really far away off of a single sight picture, have a bunch of misses, and that's just why they miss in the first place. But likewise, if they begin the drill on the far target, what you'll see a lot of people do, whether it's rifle or handgun, is they will begin the drill slow. Because psychologically, they see it's a far target, they know they need to slow down to shoot it, maybe it's a risky shot, there's a no-shoot on it or something, and they go slow on the draw, they get it. Often their grip actually like loosens because they're not, you know, really clamping down on the gun, the handgun or the rifle, and they take their slow shots on that target because it's far away, and then they continue that speed through the rest of the array. Even if there's a target right here that's this big open target, it's really easy to shoot, they just shoot it really slow and for no good reason. So when you have a drill like this, make sure you're addressing each target for what it is. I don't need to shoot the close target slow because I shot the far target slow. And I don't need to, and I probably shouldn't shoot the far target fast, just as fast as I shot the close target. So you want to start getting into the habit of, if I'm starting on the target in the back, which is going to be a little slower, that doesn't mean my draw has to be slow. My draw can still be fast. I'm going to practice that in dry fire. And when I transition from the close target to the far target, I'm going to respect my sight picture and I'm going to respect the target adequately, that my dot lands in the right place to shoot, and I'll be reacting to my sight picture. What's really nice about this particular drill right here, we have one target far, one close, is this is the majority of shooting fundamentals and principles all condensed into one target setup. I don't have multiple targets for different distances. I just have far and close. Like, that's all I'm dealing with. And you can stretch them, you can move them however far you want. You can move one at 100 meters for rifle and have one at 7. So you burn a target down really close with your rifle and then transition over and take, you know, like you'll have to take your time probably at making sure your sight is actually on the target as you finish firing off all those rounds. For a handgun, it might be, you know, 5 meters on the close guy, and then you transition to 50 meters, which is going to require more finesse of your sight picture than the close target. So I recommend you spend a lot of time with this target array right here, starting on the far target, starting on the close target, moving distances a little bit, maybe changing up the round count, 3 rounds, 4 rounds. If you get really solid at addressing both of these targets in the same drill or even separately, and you're shooting off of your sight picture, and that's what you focus on, nothing else. It's just, no, what is my dot telling me, or what are my sights telling me? That's how fast I'm going to fire. You are going to get good at shooting very quickly, and I wish this is what I had focused on when I first started shooting, because I had a lot of arbitrary crap that I was taught and that I thought I knew that just slowed me down a lot. So I know what we just showed wasn't anything super fun and exciting, although it is difficult to master, and it's something that you should be practicing probably every time you go to the range while you are starting out. Close targets, far targets.
I'll be
Linking
right back.
them together, maybe adding another one, adding in a no-shoot or some sort of cover so you don't see the entire exposure of the target, and start to play around with just how fast you could shoot a target at a certain distance with a single sight picture, and you're just predictively just burning it to the ground. 6 rounds, 5 rounds, 4 rounds, whatever. Just play around with it, see what you can get away with, and then as you get better at shooting, you'll see, wow, I can actually push some crazy speed even on further targets, like 50 meters away, just like sending rounds off of pretty blurry sight pictures. I'm not seeing this crystal clear, you know, dot on the target every single time, but I'm, you know, comfortable and confident with my recoil management, my stock placement, how I'm consistently pulling the rifle tight to the body, my stance, that I can just level the gun and send rounds. But let's talk about taking those fundamentals and actually applying them to something like this stage that you all saw at the intro of the video. There's all this movement and stuff that's happening, and like a reload for my pistol and whatnot, but ultimately on every single one of these targets, I'm just replicating the process that I showed on those 2 targets earlier. I'm either shooting really fast because the target's up close and I don't need to see a whole lot of my dot, I can just see a flash of red zinging back and forth, or maybe the target's further away or a little more complicated due to the angle that I'm shooting it. Maybe it's got a no-shoot on it and I need to actually react to my sight picture landing and my dot landing on that specific
He's been saying the same stuff over and over. So let's go for something different. Ah. My God. Well, there he is again. I know everybody hates this guy right now, but
What's going on, guys? I was just in an abandoned house training for preparedness, because that's how we roll. Just kidding, but seriously, that's how we roll. Look, I'm here today to teach you a class on single-man CQB. The reason I want to teach you single-man CQB is most people don't know that as an individual operator, person, civilian, whatever you are, you have to be proficient at moving in urban and rural environments with a firearm. And the idea is, collectively, people do CQB together because if I'm moving to a breach point and I only have one sliver of the pie, I can get away with that because I have everybody else, all my mates, picking up my 6 and all the angles that I can't see. But how difficult is it as an individual to be able to do that? Some would say almost impossible. Well, today on this episode, I want to give you some pro tips to take away to improve your single man CQB game.
That's it.
that's it. I've had enough.
Survival food out there. Look at what's in this leading.
Wow, you were convincing. Bro, if I ever dress like this, shoot me in the face. Wearing a vest and some goofy ass shoes. Kick my fucking ass if I dress like that. Not a chance in hell.
Alright guys, so what did we just do there? Well, one, I
I don't know.
want to get this across to you that there are a lot of circumstances that you could find yourself in as an individual. And if you think about all the circumstances, it could be in a situation like this where I know the outline of this home because in this scenario, it's my house. So maybe I got the indication that somebody broke in my house and now I have to clear my own space. So I'm familiar with the floor plan. Now take that exact same thing and it's a friend's house. You don't really know the outline of your friend's house, but they told you somebody potentially broke in and you have to do it. Now take the consideration that maybe it's your own house and you're in the middle of the night operating in the same space in the dark. This goes on about all scenarios, but there are some fundamental key points that I'm going to illustrate to you guys today about best practices when maneuvering by yourself with a firearm. And so the first thing I want to indicate to you guys is this is not a live firearm. This is called a SIRT pistol. It shoots a laser beam, which you can see here on the wall, right, whenever I pull the trigger. This pistol was made for training and it is safe. It's the only reason that I'm pointing this at my camera guy when I'm free flowing and training with you guys. Again, this is not a live pistol. This is a SIRT training gun, okay? I recommend if you guys are gonna do this training, that if you do it with a live firearm, that you have somebody else in the house. And if you can, pick up a SIRT pistol or a simunition or a blue gun that you could use for training. Okay, this is modeled after a Glock 17, so it fits perfectly in my hand like my EDC pistol would, which is made by Triarch, by the way. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that I did. Let's backtrack a little bit as I came to this house. So the first thing that you would have initially saw was I pushed this door open slowly. Remember, I'm not conducting an assault. This is not a hostage rescue direct action assault. You are not a special operations guy going after an HVT. One surreptitious movement, meaning slow, methodical movement, is to your advantage if you haven't gone loud already. That's a basic principle in CQB. You ever heard of the speed, surprise, and violence of action, or critical components or principles of CQB, close quarters battle? Well, in this case, a lot of the times that I've operated overseas, we evolved.
Go
into
clear my
moving
house and
surreptitiously
possibly kill
because
someone for
we
me.
just kicked in the door and we announced
Friend's
everybody
house
we're
gets
here.
broken into.
It
But hope he
instantly
calls the
put us in a
cops
bad
first.
situation if they expected us to show. And it's not always when
That's
you
so
go loud,
true.
stay loud. It's
Hey, bro.
quiet,
I think
stay
someone broke
quiet,
into my house. Can you go over there and kill someone?
okay?
What?
So
Yeah, man.
I did push this door
Please?
open slowly. What you did see, look at my arms right here. What you did see is me
Fucking
retract
idiot.
the pistol here. What I want you to pay close attention to is when I'm moving the pistol back retracted, it's allowing me to break the rear of my grip. That doesn't mean that I can't break a trigger, because I can. From here,
I really hate to do that to this guy. I'm not gonna watch it. It's kind of whack. Oh god, this is him again. That's me. Right there. Stippling RHG Stippled Black. 1911 grips. How to win a gunfight. Shoot the other guy first. Oh god. I don't know if I trust that. Yo, Sean Ryan though, very cool. Watching him do this, I don't want to see that one honestly right now. Rob O'Neill, dude.
Hey everybody, welcome back.
Hey man.
Having a fantastic week.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Even though it's only Monday, but hey, if you're not and it's off to a rough start, it's about to get better because I have a phenomenal interview lined up for you guys.
Take that shit off.
Rob has been a long time coming on this show, and we finally.
You know who Rob
got it
O'Neill
done,
is?
And I think you guys are really gonna
Chuck.
enjoy it. We talk about his entire career, and we get into some philosophical type stuff that I think you all are going to find extremely interesting as well. And I want to tell you
It's
all
very
about
important.
the Vigilance Elite newsletter that we're kicking off.
Very
All kinds of good
important.
stuff coming through that, especially the exclusive content that's only for newsletter people. And,
Only
all
for
kinds of other
newsletter
stuff when the gummy
people.
bears are gonna release
Sean Ryan, I love him
new
because
products, all
he's
that
not
stuff. It's all
great
coming out on the
at
newsletter.
talking.
It's our only way to get
Like me.
directly to you without any algorithms in the way. So anyways, it's free. Sign up. Links in the description. And on another note, I just want to personally thank all of you for being here. I love you all. Thank you. And enjoy the show.
He talks like I do. I really want to tell you that you're nice and very cool. Not really into this scene. Oh, really? What? He's a Navy SEAL guy. What's your, what do you like to do?
You guys are here because
Like to
this is not a
skateboard?
drill.
He used to skateboard
This is
too,
real.
by the way.
We found a thing, and this thing is in a house. And this house is in a bowl, and this bowl is in a country. And you guys are you're gonna go get this thing, and you're gonna bring it back to us and show it to us.
Good evening. Tonight, I
Night.
can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children.
Rob O'Neill, drop that boy.
said, you guys realize this is a one-way mission. We're not coming back from this.
Shot him in the face.
We're targeting in places where they've never seen guys like us. The reason you guys are here is this is as close as we've ever been to Osama bin Laden.
Good evening. The Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden is dead, killed by American special forces who raided his hideout in Pakistan in the early hours of the morning.
And I remember putting my first foot came out, and I'm looking at bin Laden's house.
New things, guitars, bikes. Hell yeah.
These remarkable pictures from
What kind of guitar do you have, man? Or which one do you love the most if you have multiple?
The woman that found bin Laden said, I don't know what it looks like inside, but
I know he's there.
There will be a stairwell going to the second floor, and you will run into Khalid bin Laden. And
His
he's
son.
20 years old. That's bin Laden's son, and that is his last line of defense. He will be armed on the stairwell.
The blood you can see on the floor, evidence of how he was shot in the head through his left eye.
Simply because he went this way, I turned this way. And standing 3 feet in front of me is Osama bin Laden, and he's got his hands on Amal, his wife's shoulders. I turn around and I kind of froze, and I'm okay. Other Navy SEALs are now coming in the room. A lot of guys are in there, and one of my guys came up to me and he said,
You just killed Osama.
"Are you good?"
Oh.
And I said, "No. What are we supposed to do now?"
Can I show you something that kind of messed me up? This is a ribbon that represents 100 years. And depending on how old you are when you're watching this, you've probably already lived
About half. Wait, what happened? Mother. Yo, I had those gummy bears. They were actually really good. Okay, let's see. What is, This is something fun to watch. That's the kind of stuff I like to watch. The Rob O'Neill thing, that'd be fun. Let's see. What would be fun? I really like this guy. Phil something. Phil something another. This is a video game. I like that guy too. Bear something. Dang, I don't know anybody's names. Not anymore. Used to be really big into knowing everybody's names. Those glasses look dumb.
The 3rd Precinct of the Minneapolis Police Department on fire. Nearby businesses.
Fire! We don't know if the vandals acted simply out of anger against God or because the church had taken a moral stance on a controversial issue. The Family Research Council reports nearly 400 churches were attacked from January.
An angry group outside the CNN Center in Atlanta. The tense moments you saw right there.
Minnesota is now fully mobilizing the National Guard. Protests erupting in Minneapolis last night. The powder keg of the crisis. Businesses set on fire as rage continues to boil over.
Right, this is a public street. You can't tell us where to go. Hey, Murphy, this guy right here.
right, let's go. They're going crazy right now. They're trying to shoot everyone. We need to get out of here right now. Come on, let's try.
Over 80% of the population of the world lives in an urban environment. So if there's going to be anything that happens where you need to actually get out, it's probably going to happen in the city. You probably end up living in a city. And just like we talked about in our woods video, it might seem like this is something that is far away, that there's zero chance of it ever happening. And yet, time and time again, whether it be from Ukraine or from the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, we have seen that the cities are often the areas where this is occurring. So when we're talking about evasion when it comes to a urban setting, it could be for a variety of reasons. Anything from there's a terrorist attack in the city and you need to get out. There is a natural disaster and you need to get out. There are so many different reasons for needing to evade and get out of the city, and we're not going to specify exactly which is going to compel you to go, but we're going to talk about a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different ways to take care of this. And as always, the important thing is going to be that as far-fetched as stuff may sound and as tinfoil hat as it may sound to talk about, information is free. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about urban evasion, escaping the city. Hopefully you guys learn a thing or two. Now, the biggest sponsor of the channel is, of course, our favorite. That would be the Sonoran
Snickering Doors Institute. What? I didn't even know he was here.
How are you here?
Yeah, I don't even recall how I got here.
The Sonoran Desert Institute, if you're looking to get your start in gunsmithing, they're the people to go to. They support us. They'll also do this type of content for free. So a big thank you to them. And of course, who's our favorite, Micah?
Primary Arms for sick optics and free candy.
We love them. Awesome optics, great price. And of course, if you're looking to get better at shooting, dry fire. Mantis turns your gun into a dry fire machine. Go and check them out. We love them. And of course, AEC Ammo for allowing us to train to get better. We'll be showing more of that stuff in future videos when it comes to survival. But with all that being said, talk is cheap and evasion is tough. So let's get into it.
Excuse me?
No.
Where is your hot sauce bar?
We don't have one.
Okay. Firehouse Subs has one.
No more ads.
All right, credentialing. Why should you listen to us? So I spent early part of my Air Force career as a survival guy, an evasion guy, and then right here with me, I have my buddy Fife, who also did the same thing. Later on, I moved over to TAC-P, and Fife ended up doing a lot of the civilian sector. You want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I ended up doing a lot of civilian courses, both as Op4 and then also assisting other courses in our own urban survival course that we do with Bear Solutions. So we've analyzed a lot of different urban
nice. He works with Bear
Solutions.
Solutions. That's sick.
Regardless of the situations that are going on, and yeah, it's been a good time.
And then in addition to that, I've taken a lot of civilian evasion courses within cities, spent a lot of time working with other people throughout the world on their tactics and how they kind of work on evasion out of cities. Again, this isn't stuff that's like wazoo. This isn't going to be anything that's like amazing knowledge. Stuff like this has been around for a long time. So don't think like the things that we're saying are in any way super novel or amazing and you're like, I would have never thought of that. It's just a lot of common stuff that makes sense and that when you put it together makes for a pretty good plan to get out of the city. So when we're talking about evasion, we're talking about an initial contact with somebody we don't want or with something that we don't want, whether that be a natural disaster. I know you've done a lot of that work, or whether it be
tyrannical government,
a terrorist attack. You're being invaded by a foreign country. That happened in Ukraine. This stuff isn't nearly as crazy as you'd think, and suddenly you find yourself needing to get out of the city. This is something you should be planning ahead of time. You should have met with your family. You should know, if I have to leave, we're not able to make contact with each other. If our house is destroyed, where do I go? Do I meet out in a forest somewhere, or where am I going to be going? This is going to help you understand which direction you need to travel. But we're talking about breaking initial contact. So I go out, you know, these guys with guns hop out and they're ready to kill me. I need to get away from them. So it's going to be very similar to what we talk about when we talk about rural evasion, or that evasion in the mountains like we were talking about in the last.
So when you're trying to break contact with them, it can be anywhere from as fast as, or as far as about 10 meters to a mile. That's one of the issues that you see in urban environments, is there's a lot of straight lines throughout a lot of the cities, especially in the US where we use a grid pattern. Other cities will have more of a mosaic feel to the design and structure of it, and it's easier to lose things in those areas. But with a grid, if you're in, like, I think one of the terms I heard was a linear danger area type thing, it's one of those things they can see straight down the entire thing. So you have to change up directions pretty frequently and quickly in order to really lose somebody behind you.
And what's nice with our initial movement is when we do it, like he was talking about, that 10 meters, we can simply round a corner, and if there's a lot of people, it's actually not that difficult to get lost in those people. The big thing is going to be on that initial movement. If you can, as soon as you break that initial contact with somebody, if you can change the way that you look, that's going to go a long way in helping you kind of get away, because there's going to be an initial description of you or an initial impression that they see. Hey, I see a guy with a blue shirt on. I see a guy with a gray shirt on. I see a guy with long hair. If we're able to change those things very quickly on that initial contact, that's going to be really, really important to do. So I'll do a quick demonstration of what an initial breaking contact could look like for a small movement. So if I'm breaking contact, I've seen them on the street, I've turned one corner, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna turn another corner, I'm gonna change how I'm looking. So look over here as I'm moving, get that t-shirt off, and if I can, I'm then going to join whatever people I can see out there. So if I can head right onto the street from here, I'm able to look different and then blend with the crowd, and that's gonna go a long way in breaking that initial contact. That's what one of the small movements is going to look like we were just talking about.
So one of the things also to consider is how much were you exposed? How long do they have eyes on you? Because they get more detail the more time that they have. So if they have been following you or seeing you for an extended period of time, then you have to go and change more of your appearance. However, if it's low light, it's dark, they only got a glimpse, you aren't gonna have to change a whole lot. So it really just, it depends. And that's one of the most annoying answers to give, but it's true.
Right, what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna stay in these alleyways, we're gonna break contact, we're gonna move quickly when we are in these areaways, these straightaways where we're kind of off the main roads, and we're on the main roads, we're gonna act more natural to blend in. Again, this is gonna depend on your environment. If I'm in a war and everything's war-torn, well sure, you're gonna change your posture. But if things are less war-torn, maybe I'm being hunted singly within a city, then I'm gonna need to learn how to blend it better. So in this case, we're gonna consider that we're trying to blend a little bit better, and we're trying to get to our family, which is a pre-designed meeting point out in the mountains around the city. So we're gonna head out right now. So what we've done, we've broken initial contact right here. So we've gotten to a place where we're kind of out of sight, out of mind of everyone that we've seen that could possibly report our location. So at this point, what we need to do is take stock of what we've got going on. We're gonna do what we talked about before, and that's going to be your initial height sight. Mike, do you wanna talk to that?
So in the initial high site, you're trying to review what you have for equipment, what you have as far as gear, sustenance, sustainment equipment, things of that nature. If the weather's changing on you, change with it as you need to. Also another good time in order to change your appearance again. Trying to top off on things as you're going through, like realizing my water bottle's empty, things of that nature. Trying to take stock of what we need, what we have, and what we can do from here.
Exactly. So a big question might be, what do I need? So for example, if I'm heading out the woods after this and I'm gonna go get with my family, do we have a cache of equipment out there? Do I have water bottles? Do I have those things that I need so that I can actually survive? If not, I might need to collect those as I'm going throughout the city, as I'm getting those water bottles and going forward. Again, this is the time we're gonna change our disguise. This could also be a time to make comms. Do you wanna speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so for comms inside of a city, there's a couple of different options. Most people are gonna have a cell phone with them. Problem with cell phones is that, the majority of the ones out there right now, you can't turn off. So if you can get old burner phones, it's really nice because you can actually take the battery out. One, it makes the phone last longer. You can swap out the batteries frequently, and it just extends the life of that tool. If the phone towers aren't working, then you also have backups that you can do using radios, whether it's going to be analog, DMR, things of that nature. The big problem with dealing with radios inside of larger cities because of buildings and all that sort of stuff is you get a lot of bounce off of those buildings with the direct radio frequency signals. So unless you're hitting repeaters or anything else like that, it's going to be really difficult to get line of sight from your radios to communicate, especially when you're surrounded by concrete. So the other option that you could also do is fun little tools like mesh networks. Mesh networks are great. You can program them into your phones. You can set them up, buy them yourself. Meshtastic is one that I know off the top of my head. And you can program it to send text messages to anybody that you want that's allowed to be on your network. They can have them full AES, whatever, encrypted. And you can still have a secure network to communicate even when the cell towers are down. Radio frequencies aren't an option. As long as you have enough nodes between you and the people you want to talk to, you can still stay in contact.
Exactly. And now, speaking a little bit more to the initial hide site right here. So if we can get far away from people, so I want to have both top cover and I want to be far away so that there's not going to be as many people around. The reason for the top cover, of course, is more than likely you're going to have some type of aerial assets looking for you, especially UAVs in the city. I mean, cities are only so big, and that is perfect coverage for UAVs. So that's something you want to make sure that you are thinking about. And again, when it comes to this isn't going to be the best hide site. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some movement techniques, and we're going to go into some of our basic movement to get to a better hide site, to somewhere we could possibly sleep and possibly collecting some of those supplies as we go along the way.
Want to break into
Heck yeah, man.
Don't have experience? The Google Cybersecurity Certificate uses
You look
real-world
believable.
scenarios.
So the big thing with movement is going to be, it's completely going to depend. It's going to depend on what's happening in the city. Are we in a war-torn environment? Are we in an environment where the city is starting to decay? There's general societal collapse. The point is the more we blend in, the better. So the biggest thing about movement in the city is don't do shit that's going to draw attention to yourself. So for
Don't
example,
do shit that's going to
if you're
draw
out walking,
attention to yourself.
Like, who's doing this shit? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't be sneaking around. Sneaking around in an urban environment is not at all like sneaking around the woods where you're like walking real low or anything like that. You need to walk like this is what you do every day. You're walking to work, you're walking to your house. Walk like this is just part of your daily life. Try to act natural. If you are in any way sticking out, that's going to be a problem. That comes with movement and flow of people as well.
So when you're dealing with how people are moving, most Americans have a habit of having really good posture. Mike over here has been working a lot on his posture to help with his neck and everything, right? So he stands really up straight, chest out, eyes forward, neck forward, shoulders rolled back, puffing his check and a good gait in the step, right? It's great for him, right? But most places he's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So sometimes you have to roll your shoulders up, slouch a little, just walking around with your head slightly tilted down, looking just a couple feet in front of you as you're going through with glancing up, and that really doesn't draw a lot of attention. Eye contact is what really pulls people in. So one of the other things is the flow, like you were talking about before. The flow of people is like water. You don't want to be the salmon trying to swim upstream because then the bear's going to get you, right? So you need to go with the flow, and if it's in the right direction, cool. If not, oh well, just use it to cross over to the other side, take another avenue, pick another route, and keep moving.
When I've done evasion exercises at the civilian side with various people, I've done things like putting on a high-vis construction vest and just walking with construction workers towards a construction site. So that's getting me through a lot of different areas. I look like I'm just part of the construction crew breaking off when I need to. The point is, adapt yourself to whatever's happening. People have stripped down to less clothes, so they look like they're working out or out on a run. It doesn't matter, but the time of day definitely does.
What about if you just run around naked?
Dependent on
And you just look like a mental case that nobody wants to deal with.
If there's like a curfew because there's military blockades going on, then you're taking a big risk by moving after that curfew. All things that you're gonna have to think about when you're moving. Generally, we say move at night. That's generally best. It's harder to recognize you, and it's just gonna be more difficult. Think about going out with your friend. So like if I'm going out with Charles right here, and we're gonna go see some movies, you can look at Charles. Let's look at Charles right there. Now Charles is pretty recognizable. I know his gait, I know how he steps, but if he's still far away and like we're waiting for all our friends to come, we're kind of like, is that Charles? Is that Charles? Do you think that's Charles? Like, oh, that's Charles. Yo, what's up, Charles?
Hey, Charles.
So the point is when somebody's far, it's kind of hard to recognize who they are. You're not going to be crazy about avoiding people, but if we can keep a little bit of distance to make it a little bit harder to identify, that's going to go a long way.
Nobody's looking for fucking Charles. Let me tell you that. His name is fucking Charles. Glad he hid the man bun. I would give him away. Yeah, it would, could you imagine me? Bro, I'd be the first one shot. They'd be like, there that motherfucker is right there. Shoot that son of a bitch. He's right there.
So a couple notes there. If you notice me and Mitchell over here,
The guy with the
we're lagging
fucking
behind each
jet
other.
black
We weren't
hair.
just walking right next to each other. We kept a lot of distance between each other. That's something you should do. Another thing you notice, we were slouching. We changed our posture. I changed my gait, the way I'm walking. These are all things that you can do. There's really not a
Guy
whole
that's
lot
wearing
to
all
feel silly
black. That's all I
about
wear.
watching it or doing it for the first time, but this is something that you can practice. I do this all the time, where if I'm in a city, I'll try to change the way I kind of appear. I'll change my posture, change my gait. How easy is it for you to do these things? Becoming a different person really doesn't take that much. And having these little kind of characters that you can slip into when you're walking can kind of help you get into those different patterns of posture and those different patterns of gait. At least that's what I use. What about you, buddy?
So it's really not that hard, like Mike was saying. The other thing that you can also do is put in the universal sign of "Leave me the F alone." Earphones. Have your phone out, you know, or something that looks like a phone. Even just some.
What happens if you have your wiener out?
Trash that might even be broken.
Does that work?
People see it as the universal sign.
If you have your wiener out, nobody wants to
you.
mess
I
with you.
don't care as to what anybody
Promise
else
you.
is doing around me.
Now, as we're moving
Who is
along,
hypothetically
there are
after
going
them?
to be things that we can possibly collect
Big,
to make
yeah.
our life easier. So,
I don't know.
Unfortunately, Fife has found a wonderful water bottle.
Unfortunately, this is great.
And this is going to bring us to our point of water.
Who's hypothetically
When it comes
after
to
them?
water and food, there's one that you really can't go without. Now, me and Fife both know that you can go really 3 days before you die without water. But what happens after about a day without water?
Oh, you're garbage. You're making bad decisions. You're doing stupid stuff. You can barely function. Your body starts.
Pee in your
It's
pants.
a really bad time.
Deep state.
You can hardly open your
Have
hands.
you
They're
dead with
so cramped. So you have to understand,
Damn.
if you're going to want to actually be able to get out of the city, and it really shouldn't take you that long, you need to have water. Now, there's a lot of different considerations when it comes to water. Fife is going to talk about that right now if you want to go ahead and delve into it.
Yeah, so when it comes
Damn, he's
to water,
pawning everything off on him, isn't he?
if it's still
He's gonna talk to you about it. I'm not gonna
the
do
water
that.
filtration system is going to be your best friend. All you have to do is find a spigot, a fountain, or anything else like that, and a good, clean source of
Let
water.
me guess, they're gonna talk about boiling water in a
Damn.
plastic bottle.
Watch that out, you're going to be
pretty
okay.
good. But once you can find that, you have to be able to find.
I feel like all that's
turn it
like
on, collect it from there. The problem is that most
common
cities
sense.
during either catastrophes of any sort, the water system and electricity all get shut off eventually.
Piss in it.
Sometimes sooner than others. So you have to find a different way of collecting water. Some of that might be tributary streams, doing a transpiration or vegetation bag. Over
We don't know what tributary means. What is that? Tributary?
There's a lot of different ways.
Just tell us what it means.
Clean that water before you actually ingest it. So that's when you go with either iodine that you might have procured from a medical kit.
Procured?
Or bleach.
Bro, we don't talk
chlorinated
like
things
that.
of that nature, or even improvising your own.
We don't even say
filter
improvise.
out of multiple water bottles in order to still clean it and make it drinkable.
Do you want to explain how to make those water filters? It's actually pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
so these guys are awesome.
Yeah,
The
rocks.
first thing that you would put into it
Sand.
is charcoal, and that would be down at the base, followed by rocks, sand, grass, pebbles, things of that nature. And you're
You just
layering
run
in a
it,
system
run
of
water through it a
coarse
few
at the
times and it'd be
top,
straight, bro.
fine up top, down to coarse at the bottom, and charcoal is the last. And you would just pour it all into these little guys here.
You still have to boil it. You're still gonna get
to the top.
bacteria.
So the bottom here would have
It'll be
charcoal
clear,
right down here.
but you gotta still
You have your
disinfect it.
You know, smaller pebbles, sand, and you put mesh cloths or square pieces of t-shirt on either end, and you just start pouring your water in through the top. Dirty water goes in the top, clean water comes out the bottom.
Pretty simple. It does run slow, and that's the only thing that kind of sucks about it. But in these really war-torn environments or environments where natural disasters have struck the water system, that's going to be something that you might have to do. One other consideration is going to be chemicals. So, especially from runoff from streets into rivers like that are right by cities, or even in like water sources that you could possibly collect, it's good to do a sniff test. So if it smells like gasoline, it smells like oil, it smells like something that's
Now that's what I want to drink, dude.
You're not gonna want.
I have drank water
No
out
matter
of
how much
a
filtration
dirty
you do, it's
ditch.
gonna be very difficult to get those chemicals out, and you probably don't have the time.
That's
to do
what's
it.
up.
That's
Still
something
alive.
that we had a problem
He's like, I shit my brains out, but it was good.
Those rivers that run through those cities, where there's
Surprisingly,
so
it was
much of this
delicious.
exhaust and everything that gets into those rivers that they're.
And I gotta find me some more of that ditch water.
Lead off from the traffic on the streets, going into the gutters, and then going into those
Trent,
streams and rivers and everything.
don't even, dog. Don't even.
The other problem is going to be even
Chuck,
trees. So
Trent just
like pools of water and
hobbled into the dang YouTube stream.
and a lot of the stuff out of the leaves, and that
Beat
will
that
cause,
dude
like,
up.
Horrific diarrhea. Ask me how I know. It could possibly kill you. We've both been through that. It's horrible. So if possible, the things that I've used gutters, like especially like rain gutters up on tops of buildings. I've used like natural collection points, especially like
Just use a toilet.
further away from roads. If you have like natural divots in concrete and stuff, something that you're able to sip up.
You can get free water out of those. People pee in them all the time.
Classic socks tied around your ankles and going through like grass or dew is a really good way of collecting water. Just to squeeze that right into your mouth. The point is, get that water.
He
by
said
any means
do,
possible,
like doo-doo.
because you're going to be non-functional without it, and especially if you're going out past the city and you need to collect it, start collecting that before you get out of there. And that also is going to bring us to another point. If you're going somewhere where you're actually going to get back to civilization, you're simply escaping a force. It's important to have, if you drink some really weird water, keep a little bit of
Salty
of it with
water.
you. That way when you get to that medical facility, you can be like, this is what I drink. Am I going to die?
Yeah, and the answer might be yes, but at least they can give you
And the answer might be yes, so you might just die.
worst case scenario. But that's just one of the things that you might run into, drinking shit that you don't want to, but you have to.
Now here in Grantham, we always harp physical fitness, but guess what? Now we're sponsored by First Fit, and that means that we're more fit than ever. But go and check them out. We love them, and a big thank you to them for sponsoring. They have tons of great stuff from protein.
Bro, look
powders
at that
to
microphone.
greens and reds. We use it all. Actually, we do. I've used it for a long time. So we're looking for another hide site, somewhere to sleep for the night. Things get a little crazy right now during the night. We're right along this park right here, and it's pretty quiet. So we're gonna go ahead and hop over there and just kind of nestle down into a little bush and go to sleep.
You're breathing heavy, dog. Need a little bit more of that first form.
Where are we? The home of the legendary scents of the old spot.
You're
Pretty
nowhere.
classic spot. You see a lot of people sleep in these types of areas, and that actually can play to your advantage. So whether you have a lot of vagrants, hobos living in an area, being able to blend into that population might not be such a bad idea. And also finding
You telling me I have to look like a hobo
even within
to
those
live?
normal areas,
I
play to your
bet.
advantage. So Fife right here is going to hop up. It's very flexible. Come on, buddy.
Best way to stay alive. Look like a hobo. I bet.
This is going to be a site where we can hide, we can sleep. We're, of course, going to set watches. You're never both going to be asleep at the same time.
Yo, we should watch some
Collect
Bear
things
Grylls.
and figure out what the next step is going to be. Now, another great thing about these areas that are kind of secluded, people do a lot of weird shit out here. So whether it be kids getting down or what have you, sometimes
What did
it's
he just
possible to
say?
find clothing out here. So
Oh,
this
kids
is something that I've
getting
done.
down?
I
Ew.
found, t-shirts covered in vomit or different things that can change my appearance. That's all going to be something that I can do that can play to my advantage in changing my appearance. This is also going to be a good area where I'm going to be able to sleep, and it's going to help me out. So this is going to be our hide site. Now we're going to talk about what
It's also a good place you can get
And
raped.
right here, we actually do have examples of caches of stuff from various hobos, as we can see right over there. So from clothes to bedding to what have you. We're not condoning stealing, but at the same time, it's procuring another man's, one man's trash, another man's treasure. Also, if you've done something like that where you're procuring things, don't ever go back to where you procured
Why
that
are they
stuff
saying
from.
procuring? What?
Don't
Just
go back
say
to the scene of
taking.
crime in Arma 3 in Minecraft.
So when we're swapping, we can make it look
We don't talk
again,
like
we're
that.
different people walking around and changing our outlook and appearance. Along with that, we also want to change our gait, maybe swap gear, bags. Because now if they're
Holy
looking for a
crap,
person
who are
that's
these
wearing
guys?
rain
Is
jackets
that the
and
same
brown
people we were
backpack
just talking
with
to?
short hair, well,
Whoa, they look completely...
thing, long-haired
I don't
hippie,
even recognize who
rug
they
rug
are.
on, short hair, different pants, different bag, right?
Holy
Another
crap.
great thing is going to be I have
Incredible.
procured over my time traveling
Procured.
different things as well. So I have a different t-shirt that I have on my bag. I also have a different hat that I can wear. So depending on where I am, have that hat turned forward, turned backwards, depending on whatever the style is. This is also going to help conceal my face, especially from cameras. You have to realize that within the city, you're always going to be observed.
Yeah, cameras are everywhere. Every single one of those buildings that we walked by today had security cameras on every corner, every flat face of it. There's no way of getting around inside of a big city.
And with AI recognition technology, it's very difficult to get around it. This is the nice thing about if there are certain riots with certain people who wear masks all the time. That's really nice because it makes it very difficult for AI recognition to be able to pinpoint that. So if that's something that I can use to my advantage, everyone's already wearing face masks and running around.
Grab one.
Don't steal, don't assault people. Yeah, be like, hey, I'm on your side. Can I have an extra mask? I don't want to be caught. So these are things to use to your advantage. But you have to understand the longer you're in the city, especially if you're being hunted, you're probably going to eventually be identified by AI technology no matter what you do.
With this urban environment, if I'm trying to do evasion or trying to move through it without being noticed, my biggest goal is to get out of it. I don't want to be here. This is the most difficult and dangerous place.
I bet if you're smoking crack on the side of the road, no one's gonna mess with you though. You'll be straight.
And as efficiently as possible, but also with enough gear and equipment that you'll be able to sustain yourself once you actually leave all these resources that the urban environment does provide.
Now in today's example, everything went to shit when me and Fife were out just having a day in the town, and we need to get back to our families. Now night has fallen, we've sat in our hide site, we've each taken about a little cat nap of about an hour to kind of replenish ourselves. We've gotten some water, we're feeling pretty good.
That red light will probably give you away.
A little bit of food and then continue on our journey out of here. So we're gonna go ahead and break out from our hide site. If we wanna make sure that we're not leaving any evidence that we were there, trying to naturalize it. So if you have any types of footsteps, any big body imprints, this is something where you can take some type of branch, you can scoop it over, try to naturalize it a little bit and make it look like you weren't there as obviously, especially if you're being hunted or tracked by certain entities.
Find anything here?
If the city is still running, if things are still going, you're typically gonna be able to find things in the trash. No shit, we actually did just find this. It wasn't staged. That's awesome. That's a ton of nutrients and food right there. And it's gonna survive, it's gonna sustain us for a very long time. But as things begin to collapse, you're definitely gonna run into more problems when it comes to food, especially the perishable food is gonna begin to rot, so they're gonna begin to throw it out. So things that we need to think about are gonna be like meat. So a lot of people look at a steak as it starts to go bad.
Cats, dogs, heck yeah.
However,
squirrels.
you can cut away, especially on an intact steak, that rancid meat, and you're typically gonna have good meat in the center. Now, if we're able to cook it, whether that be sun-dry it, whether that be use citric acid, if you have some type of heat source, that's better. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do though. Survival's not great. Insects are a great one. With insects, as long as it's smaller than your thumb, you can typically pull off the head and the legs so they don't get caught in your throat and just eat those suckers whole. It's not gonna be fun. You might catch parasites, but a very low chance as it's smaller than the thumb.
The other thing is to make sure that it's an actual true insect. That means it has 3 segmented parts, 6 legs. So head, abdomen, thorax, and 6 legs. Make sure it's an actual insect. Otherwise, you might be in something that could have some toxins inside of it that can hurt you.
Yeah, don't eat like a spider. You don't wanna die.
It's a bad time.
Evading in a city is way less, I would say, exciting than like invading in the mountains in terms of like visuals, what you're seeing on camera, but it feels a lot more tense because there's a lot more contact with humans. That means there's a lot more chance for danger. The final things I want to caution you about is going to be weather. So being that you're constantly in shelter, you're probably going between buildings, there's a lot of overhead cover for you. So you're not going to feel the weather nearly as much, but as you get out of the city into the rural environment, into those fields where there's nothing really breaking the wind, especially up into the mountains.
Shoot, I know how to break wind.
And you might find yourself in a bad situation. So make sure that if that weather is bad, that you're prepared, that you're getting that clothing in the city that you need while you can get to it. The city is a literal just tons of resources are going to be there. So if you can acquire those resources prior to leaving the city, do it. Don't put yourself at risk, obviously, unless you absolutely need to, such as water or other things to ensure that
Dang,
you
and I
survive.
had eggs today.
But at the same time,
Bro, I
if you
could
get out into those environments
F
and you're
something
just gonna
up
die
tonight.
because you don't have enough stuff to cover your body, that's still going to be a bad time. This is all going to be situation dependent. Nothing that we teach here is a always situation. Make sure that you adapt it to wherever you are.
For instance, like if there was a flood, we find this in the trash can or anything else like that. We don't know how long it's been sitting in there, or if it's got water in it, if it got moldy or anything else like that. I probably would just pass it by. In those situations, we're looking for more using natural plants that are foliage in the area and stuff like that.
We've gone 2 weeks without eating.
Yeah, food shouldn't be a necessity, it's a nicety. Water, movement, gear for later on.
And Five does bring up a really good point, which is
2 weeks with no food, bro. I would
within cities
just
is not
kill
dangerous.
myself.
They're not planting dangerous plants, and a lot of that stuff is actually edible. So I think this is probably going to be one of our most important videos, because probably the majority of you are going to be living in the city and dealing with this at some point, whether it be riots, whether it be natural disasters. This is stuff that you should study, that you should focus on. Now, we've been doing this from like a zero sum, as in we started our evasion with very little on us, maybe an extra jacket, maybe a bottle of water. But if you have a little bit of preparation, you have a go bag in your car, you have more stuff on you when you're traveling, more medical.
Yo, I do have
small
that
item
actually
tablets. This stuff can
in the
all
car.
pay dividends in the end. The other thing is going to be know your city, know the layout, know which direction is north, know which direction is south.
In the
Know which type
Ferrari,
plants
of
are growing
course.
there, know where you could possibly procure food. All these things,
My
knowing these
Ferrari.
beforehand, could possibly save your life later on down the road. And as crazy as this all sounds, like we said before, you never want to be in a situation where you get to a point where you need to use this and you've done no preparation. You've never practiced it, you've never tried it, and you don't know it. There is probably nothing more heartbreaking, not even for you, but if you're not able to take care of your family in these types of situations. Don't let it go to that point. Make sure that you're prepared. This information is for you guys, so study up.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated. No, I can't. Combat evasion, bro.
If you've never spent a night in the woods in sub-freezing temperatures,
or gutted and skinned a chicken and then sucked its eyeballs out for sustenance, then hit that sub button and keep watching.
The Guinness World Record for fasting is 382 days. What a loser. Who would do that? Bro, that means your ass is just leaking liquid the whole time. F
So for the
that.
past couple of days, we've been out here taking a Survival 101 course from Magonic. And over the past couple of days, we've learned how to build a shelter in the woods when you're kind of on your own or with a group.
how to start a fire from scratch.
Yep, how to filter or find and filter and properly treat your water source.
Food considerations.
God,
what
that's
kind of
so
rations you're gonna
mental.
need for at least 48 hours in the woods.
382 days.
dressing and
What happened on the 383rd? He died?
Really just the basics in regards to how to stay alive and take care of yourself or a team with the minimal gear that you brought.
Also wilderness medicine and isolation experiments. So when you sign up for one of these classes, you get a packing list, and we're going to go over our packs and what we brought in them and what we wish we would have had. But with that being said, let's hop into the first thing
Just
that we
died.
had to figure out when we got out here, which was our sleeping and shelter situation. So the first thing that Mitch showed us was how to quickly set up a Ranger Diamond, or a little makeshift shelter for one person. So we had our ponchos or our tarps that we brought out, and how to tie all the correct knots to make it the most efficient process possible. But after a little bit, we noticed that, hey, we've got a lot of guys out here. It's going to be freezing tonight. Let's combine our resources and our efforts and build a more impressive shelter to house us all through the evening. So
With this
Mitch, why don't you
$900
show us what
hatchet
we made?
or axe.
Show the audience what we made.
Hey gents, before we roll on here, I want to take a minute and thank some of our sponsors.
He was a really
who have
big
made
feller.
This video
I
and many
bet.
others possible. So first and foremost,
His
this,
body was
kind
eating
of
his fat
camping
the whole
or
time.
Survival going out into the woods can look really expensive, but it doesn't have to be. You can go check out Venture
His
Surplus,
body
who
was
again,
probably
are
like,
sponsors of this episode.
"Oh, we straight,
They offer
dog.
a
We
whole
can
ton
do
of
this
stuff
for a
that
minute."
allow you to buy like Alice packs that have been used, issued by the military. If you want to go buy ponchos, they do carry those when they come back in stock. Fire starter kits, socks, wool gloves that are going to keep you warm when it's really cold. Now, maybe you're not looking for something that's used and you're looking for a handful of new items that were not necessarily military issued. You should go check out Gun Mag Warehouse. They have a lot of accessories that YouTube doesn't like us to talk about, and that's okay, but you should probably be stocking up on some polymer 30-round items that are probably going to be banned one of these days. Go check out Gun Mag Warehouse. And finally, guys, I know you know it gets scary in the dark, especially when you're alone in the woods. And what helps to not be scared in the woods?
What are you talking about? That's when I creep.
So go check out Steel Industries. They have
That's when I go
night vision
out,
devices.
bruh.
We also have a link in the description below. We have a discount code. And they have a whole ton of lasers, accessories that go onto said items or maybe your helmet and keep you a little bit safer and less scared in the dark. Now, let's go look at the shelter that we put together with Mitch.
So we went through the concept of integrating just the basic shelter principles, making sure that your top coverage is going to have about a 45-degree angle so that the water kind of slides off. Encapsulate it as much as you can to protect you from the environment, and then add insulation both on the outside and the inside in order to trap in heat. With what we had out here, lots of deciduous trees and everything else like that, giving us a lot of leaves and ground cover. So we went through and built a debris shelter, a frame setup that was going to house everybody for the night. So we just kind of put everything together, lashed it up so that it would fit everybody that was involved in the class, and it did pretty well at trapping in all of our body heat in order to keep everybody, you know, relatively comfortable. When it was
They're gonna bang in there.
Low 20s.
I was skeptical. When we were piling leaves on top of trees and tree branches that were pushed down, I was thinking the wind was just gonna blow right through those leaves. But even just in the afternoon, once we got it done, or when the sun set, crawling in there, there was a very noticeable difference. Just because those leaves make that insulation, it was the first time I had ever done that, and that was super cool.
It's all about trapping in that dead air space.
For sure.
Why don't you give us a quick, like, you know, MTV Cribs style walkthrough?
I've never seen that show, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay.
Well then, just do your best.
All right, so to start off, we had to make sure that we had a good location to build the shelter for everybody, free of any other environmental dangers or anything else like that. From there, we needed to build a framework structure that was going to support the weight of everything that we needed to add to it. So adding a ridge pole from A to B, and showing everybody how to lash it up there appropriately so that it was actually going to be able to support all that weight. Once we had that ridge pole, we started laying on what we call the whale bones, or the framework of the structure, in order to make sure that it was sustained and going to maintain all the weight for the debris that we're going to put on top of it. Once we started getting the debris onto it, we did notice that there was some sag, so we were able to make a wedge that we were able to place on the inside in order to prop it up and support some of the extra weight that was going to be accumulating. Once we had the framework set up, the whale bones were in place, then we go into weaving in smaller sticks and trees that are going to allow the debris to grab onto it in order to provide a good weathering layer on the top.
And just kick it up on there.
Coming through, wind from blowing through, and trapping in all the body heat on the inside of the shelter as well.
So once it was time for bed, everyone kind of stacked in from back to front, and I ended up closest to the door. I don't want to say I was cold because my sleep system was enough to keep my core warm, but my feet were near the opening and I could definitely feel cold air moving along my feet throughout the night. So I was always trying to curl up and away, which is more proof to me that this does work. So my feet were a little bit chilly, but my core was still warm. All things considered, this is pretty impressive to me.
Sucks for Josh. I stayed toasty all night. Here in the middle, I was great. Granted, I had multiple other bodies as a blocker to any sort of wind coming in. But the only time that I noticed getting a little bit of cold was air coming this way and breaking through some of these like areas that we didn't put as many leaves in, which I spent probably like an hour during the construction of this just stuffing leaves up in different spots to try and, like, you know, cover everything. I'm glad I did, but I stayed toasty warm all night.
So I slept all the way on the other end, mostly just to kind of end cap everything. The thing on these shelters is that there is still temperature loss on the outside edges. You're always going to have that. You need some ventilation out of the tops and outside of the corners in order to prevent things from building up on the inside. So it was still a little chilly over here, but even then, the only thing that really started bothering me was my toes, and just keep movement, keep the blood flowing, and fine to go.
The big thing here is we didn't die.
So when I first thought about going out into the woods, I wanted to make sure that I had a chest rig, nods, thermal, and a rifle. But that's not what this class is really all about. So this just became dead weight. And once I got here, all of this stuff got set away because that's not what we're talking about.
Oh shit, I'm wearing those thermals all day, all night.
Out of that chest rig, and I stuffed things into my pockets so that I had this accessible, but otherwise all that stuff went away. On top of that, I wanted to make sure that I had a tourniquet on body. My phone ended up going in the backpack most of the time. I had other things on body all day, which is at least one bottle of clean drinking water, a little bit of food, some good protein, and then
a knife.
medical, Purell, and a blowout kit, as well as a way to purify water. So that's some of the stuff that was on body, as well as a fixed blade. Now let's dig into the pack and let me show you guys what I actually had in here. So on this side,
bro, all you need is a knife.
Boo-boo kit.
You can just stab anybody and take all their stuff.
Band-Aids, tweezers, Neosporin, an extra chem light with a buzzsaw setup. In the top cap here, I have a backup fixed blade from Northwest Blade Works. I got bad allergies right now, so I brought some medication, as well as things like cold medicine, toothbrush, toothpaste, eye drops. Wanted to be able to access this stuff quickly if I needed to, not have to dig in my pack. My fire starter kit in a waterproof case.
I bring my medication for my nosy.
Otherwise you're just eating with your hands. And water bottle number 1. I carried about a gallon of water out here because when the class first started, I didn't know what all we were going to be getting into. It was a ton of weight, and it was excessively too much water. I learned about that in hindsight, but let's keep digging into the pack. Okay, so on the outside here, this is all going to become a part of my sleep system. Because it was going to be sub-freezing temperatures, I wanted to carry as much insulation from the ground as possible. So there's a foam pad that stayed on the outside.
Bro, bring you some drugs
and then on this side,
and alcohol, bro, you'd be straight.
Bring a
You won't even remember you were there.
Piece of material. And this is a ridiculously large football field size tarp. Not really, it's like a 10 by 10. I need to go get a poncho. They're cheap, but that's just one of those items that being out here, you recognize, oh, how do I not have a poncho? Well, these experiences drive you to realize those kinds of things.
Why don't you just make everyone one out of that?
As well as a metal flask down below as well. Not a flask, a cup that sits inside of an Nalgene container. So, what's going to be the easiest way to dig here and show you guys? I got a couple items on top that I wanted to have quick access to, one of which was my jet boil. Obviously, boiling water is one way to purify and clean water, but also when it is sub-freezing temperatures, I wanted to be able to be drinking hot water as best as possible. Let's talk about the sleep system real quick. So, inside of here, I have a sleeping bag, I have a Gore-Tex bivvy, and I have a inflatable air mattress. And all of this got laid out, it got filled up with air, and it kept me warm at night. The air mattress itself has a little bit of like a mylar kind of material on the inside, so it is reflecting some of that heat back to me, and this kept me relatively warm all night long. On the outside here, last other tool before we get to the inside is just a Northwest Blade Works hatchet. Wasn't on the packing list, but I'm glad that I had it. Some more quick and easy access items. Inside of this DACA pouch, I have a phone charger, as well as a bit set for some tools. In case something like on a rifle or who knows what started to fall apart, it was gonna be nice to have some of those tools, as well as a way to charge a phone in case of emergency. A couple of hot hand sets. I have a Mylar blanket. If you need to go to the bathroom, it's nice to be able to stay clean and sanitary. And then I have a full medical blowout kit in here as well. Another Mylar blanket because it was so cold. Medical, and then back here I have a SAM splint and
came
trauma
with
sheets.
his house.
Digging into the heart of the pack.
I got my teacup set.
Now it's starting to fall apart on me a little bit. a gravity-fed water filtration system.
I mean,
I didn't know what kind of water filtration we were going to be doing. If you
Nobody
can't
has
tell, I
that.
created a lot of water out here, and I was very set up to purify and filter water and get it hot. Here's a second Nalgene with a second metal cup. Line kits.
He's talking about, isn't this about how to survive? He's showing you a bunch of shit that you would never have. Because you have no money to buy his
Mitch taught us a lot
insane
about that
shit.
past couple
This is a
days.
stupid video.
More water, and this actually has a hose.
This is actually Aquafina and Fiji water mix.
Coffee.
And it has electrolytes in it and all this stuff. Yeah.
Flavor into the water. Adding iodine to your water, for example, can
Yes.
change the flavor.
Oh,
a fair
you
amount.
have iodine with you?
Liquid
I'm
IV
sure
or
you
apple
do.
Cider, that can help a bunch. And then tied into the back here, really, really tight,
Here's an IV kit.
a lot of trail mix.
Look, and you know it's that expensive trail mix
And
too.
then MREs. This is a different kind of MRE that I
Motherfucker brought
wanted to try,
MREs.
some Valley Food storage, and it was pretty good. Plenty
It
of
was only
calories, kept me,
$36 a piece.
kept
It
me
was
warm and happy.
really nice.
All right, last but not least, let's hit what I have down here below in this pack.
Like, nobody else is running
Wasn't
this
sure
shit.
about the weather, so I wanted to have some
This
gauge
guy
to
has
wrap around my
thermals
ankles.
on him to go camping.
An Arc'teryx rain jacket that got rolled up into the hood, and then this is a complete
What's the name
change
brand?
of apparel in a waterproof bag, as well as 3 extra pairs of wool socks. It's a lot of stuff for 2 days, but what I didn't want to do is come out here and not have an extra change of wool socks.
This dude
not
brought
have
medication
water,
for
not
his
have plenty of
allergies
food.
when he's
There are
trying to
things that I
go
would change, like buying
camping.
a poncho or scaling down or up my sleep system, because it was a little bit excessive, even though it was so cold. All that being said, the most lightweight piece of material that I brought
My
and am
toothbrush.
taking home with me is the head knowledge and wisdom that
Oh,
Mitch was
God.
able to impart on us. So with that, that's what I had with me, and let's take a look at what Drew had with him.
So again, you don't need your rifle for a class like this. I brought it out here just for extra security, and also I own this property, so I can just harvest anything off of it at any time. And if we had the chance to shoot a deer and gut it and skin it and process it and everything out here, I wasn't gonna mess that up. But you don't need that. You also don't need a chest rig, though I did make good use of mine. I use this for radio back to the other property, and but for the most part, this just kind of lived inside the tent or inside the structure. I did put a VS17 panel in the back of this just in case, you know, just as a good practice, not that we would ever need it out here. But one thing that did come in handy is this little utility belt that I pieced together a couple months back. It basically consists of a little hand warmer pouch from Tasmanian Tiger and a dump pouch for trash and just loot and stuff that I pick up or need to throw away, and then a fanny from AWS Gear, which this had in its, right now has a ball cap in it because my beanie was in there earlier. Has flashlight, which this actually usually stayed on my body, headlamp, this came out at night, multi-tool, an extra folder, and some duct tape. In the back of it, everyone needs a good fanny. In the back of it, I had extra batteries, Right in the Rain, and a Right in the Rain pencil that I chopped down. The front had some extra tent stakes. These are the lightweight tent stakes. I usually don't like carrying tent stakes with me, but I did for this class, and I'm glad I did. So, moving on to the pack. Actually, we'll say gloves, because I did not bring a good pair of gloves. These are very warm gloves. I knew it was going to be pretty cold, but they were kind of worn down on the front side. I've used these for years and years and years. And I
Not one marshmallow or graham cracker. Yeah, right? That's what I would be bringing, dude.
That's just a punishment for being weak.
I'd be like, I brought myself, I brought my shoes.
Thankfully, Josh had an extra hatchet.
You know,
unfortunately, I wish I would have
brought my
an actual axe, which I need to invest in because
yeah, I
when it
brought
came
some
time to
marshmallows.
chop down trees and actually construct stuff, I wasn't a lot of help with this, or else I was having to expend twice the amount of energy. That
My
the
ass would be the
axe
first
wielders,
one dead, though. I'll tell
were
you that.
using just to chop down simple stuff. So, but it's not on the packing list, but I would say everyone needs a good axe and bring it along with you.
But I would have died happy.
Beyond that,
I'd have had that damn
I
marshmallow.
have an Nalgene over here with a cable and when we're actually walking out here, I could drink off this. It's a little empty right now, but I did bring this. And one thing I will say is if you're camping or doing any of this stuff in sub-freezing temperatures, you are going to want to take off this hose and keep it close to your body.
Nah, you want to keep all the hose you can.
Inside the hose,
you know what I'm saying?
Blow it out, it will freeze overnight. I did not bring a second Nalgene. I set it out to bring and I forgot it, and that required me to drink a little bit less water and also make an extra trip down to the stream, which was not fun, but it is what it is. Over here on this side,
I'm gonna start a fire.
and this is, by the way, this is a Gregory Stout 65. This is an actual, you can get these used for pretty cheap. I've had this since 2015, 2016, and despite running this thing through the ringer, it still looks pretty clean. It's been a great pack. Have a really cheap little poncho, which I use for my Ranger Diamonds. I'm definitely going to buy a bigger one and a slightly nicer one, because that is absolutely a trashy Amazon special, but it did do the trick. On this front pouch over here, for relatively fast access,
2.5 hours.
I did have my 2 line kits, which you're going to need. Josh probably already touched on this. I used some of these 5-footers, and I didn't use any
Which
of
that
the
was on the
10-footers,
longer
but
side.
I'm glad I had it with me just in case. All daisy chained together.
That's stippled grips.
A rain fly for my pack, because we did think it was going to rain on us the entire time, and we were like, we're still going to go, send it. And then a rain jacket for me. Now I know you may think rain jacket, poncho, it's overkill. Well,
Rain jacket.
poncho for a shelter.
That reminded me of Buddy Hill. That bottle would be full of rum. Yeah, see, Buddy understands.
Super cold out here.
Right? What the hell are these guys talking about, man? Well, I brought my teddy bear and I brought my girlfriend's picture so I can look at it. I bought my Game Boy. I bought, like, bro, get the fuck out of here.
I was so stocked up on MREs that I'm probably not going to use the bathroom for like a month. Looking on the top here, this was completely unnecessary.
Rum, though? Absolutely. That's what I was saying, bro. Bring some alcohol. Bring some... I ain't even going to say
some
it.
other items in it. I've got a boo-boo kit. I've got an extra thermal, just in case.
See, I would be the guy that brought the Altoids.
And then some toothbrush, toothpaste, Kim lights, charger down in there, some extra batteries, and stuff to make yourself look like a warrior on the weekends. But I did not break into this pack at all, except for the boo-boo kit. It's just kind of like a little catch-all.
You don't sound cool saying boo-boo
extra
kit.
Stuff pouch, and that pouch is from Vertex. Out of the top
Vertex,
here, I packed,
bro. Okay, that's
a
it.
merino
I
wool
can't.
neck
You okay? Why did he have to say that pouch is from Vertex? For one, do you know how much that pouch is then? Just because he had to, I don't know. He had to say it. I didn't say it. He said it. Why did he have to say name brand? That's what the other guy did. He's like, oh yeah, and then this one from such and such, blah blah blah. Bro, we don't care. I bring Walmart stuff. I got all my camping gear, everything at Walmart. And yes, it breaks and it's dog shit, but I'm out camping for a day or two. And it's way cheaper than buying the good stuff, which the good stuff lasts, but you can just keep buying the Walmart shit. You'll be straight. Promise you. But I promise you, just because you said that bag was from Vertex, I'm not watching your video anymore. You guys are all rich. And yeah, I'm salty. He's rich. I'm not. So, suck it. Suck it, bitch boy. All right. Freaking crap was I doing? Oh, we're done with the grips. Yeah, look. Grips finish. They need to be cleaned up a little bit, right? But that's the grips. Buddy, you still in here? Buddy Hill. That's a good name. It's a strong name. All right, let's see. What does our camera setup look like right now? This way. Holy shit, it's bright. All right. A little too bright for me. We're going to have to cut all this off for a second. BRB, cousins. We're going to fix this. Yeah. All right. 1 secondo. All right. All right. How's our lighting sitch? Lighting is still a little wonky. It is what it is. All right. What game are we playing? What's your favorite position? All right. Chuck, you still in here? Chucky boy? Meister? Holy crap. I gotta move all these cameras and things. Fifth group special forces.
Automatic crash response?
Sarah, this is OnStar.
That's better. OnStar. Better never stops.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Gotten itchy throat from allergies? New Claritin liquid provides powerful all-day allergy.
We would have liked to have done more, but we did do some good things. And
I'll be right back.
Were there some memorable experiences that stick out to you, or ones that you felt like kind of pulled you together as a team more, or anything like that?
Yeah. You know, like that Afghanistan trip in 2012 was a really good one. There were also some times in Iraq. So there was one time I got knocked silly. So we're doing this mission. We know basically we're going after and we're hitting this house, right? We're going after this person. Fair enough. No target. So I'm on the gun, right? I'm on the truck that's covering the front gate and on the second story. And our team's coming up. We secure the area, and our team, and I'll never forget because it was Logan and Mike, right? Mike, guy, kind of came to the team with at the same time. He's a good dude. He's off doing great things in other units now. And then Logan, he got out and went to the National Guard, but he was my junior at the time. And I was on the gun. And I'm like, oh, cool. So pull up at a 50 cal point this way. And then I got my saw out, you know, with night vision. I'm covering the second story. And I'm like, okay, these guys are going to breach the gate, right? They're going to tell me that they're going to breach the gate, right? So I'm like, something's taking too long. And so I look down and look over at the metal gate, like in the courtyard on the whatever. And I look down and they're all stacked up. Oh, Mike, and there's Mike, there's Logan, there's the Iraqis. I'm like, cool. And all of a sudden I just see Logan like this. And I see him turn and check. And I see that quarter turn on the initiator. And I'm like, dude, like, you got to tell us that shit because I'm like right here. And right as I pull that gun up and start to go down, that goes off, that charge, right? And they didn't like communicate that over the radio. That was a screw up, right?
Yeah.
Probably should have told us, right? Especially because Doug, our team sergeant, the captain, they're on outer security and they just hear this giant boom.
Mm-hmm.
And that charge was made by Logan, who's a Bravo? Who's not the engineer demo guy on the team? So what did he do? He was like, hey, how much charge do we need for this? Logan's like, P for plenty. That's my math, right? So he made this charge that just, so when the charge went off, I was going down in the turret trying to like get back a little bit, from the blast. And it went off right as I was coming down, right like in the opening of the hatch. So it went off and it snapped my head back. My head cracked off the turret in that hole. Now it's messed up. And I came on the gun that I saw hit me in the face as I was going down. Knocked me out for like a few seconds. And they're like, oh shit. They're like, oh God, Drew. Like one of the guys like drivers like, oh God, Drew's dead. I'm like, I'm not. So I'm like, like come up like, what? Just concussed. So I jump back up and I'm like kind of woozy. It didn't just blow the gate open. It flattened the entire metal like framing and ripped it out of the courtyard. Blew every window on the house out. Glass everywhere. Whole thing smoky. Iraqis are like, like they're all messed up. And like all of a sudden I see this, people just start walking out of the house like
stumbling out.
Fuck it, I quit. Hands up, like coughing, like stumbling. There wasn't shit to clear. And everybody's just walking like, oh yeah, we get it. Come here. Have a seat. It was like the whole thing changed.
Buck boy.
He's like,
what's
what
up,
the
Bucky
hell,
Bo?
And he's like, what? He thought it was a, like a houseborn IED. Like we got blown up, something like that.
What up,
bad
Buck?
has happened.
It was that big.
So he's rushing over. He's like, hey, what happened? Report in. And I'm going like, Logan blew the gate. Or one of the guys blew the gate. And Logan's giggling. He's like, yeah, that was a big old charge. I was like, fuck you. Like that one, you didn't tell me. That was really big.
Was this
My
a
ears are
podcast?
ringing. I can't see straight. I don't know what's going on right now. But I just remember seeing like all the smoke and all these Iraqis just like coughing and like falling to their knees, like, glass everywhere. All the windows are blown out of this house.
Dude.
Right? There's like metal bars they had. And I remember seeing that. And people were just walking out like, no, sir. Like, we're done. Like, and there was nothing to like really clear after that. It was kind of done. So that was pretty funny. But I got a concussion on that one pretty good.
Good gosh.
That was hilarious.
So lessons learned.
Oh yeah. And that gun hit, I just remember like, boof, like that, like hitting that. I remember this like smack, like right in my face. And that was a saw hitting me in the face as I came down. But it was pretty funny. Yeah. Funny just after.
Yeah.
Doug was not happy, man.
Was he just like, oh, well, mission accomplished? Like, they're all coming out.
He's like, well, I didn't think that, it was like, bro. I mean, haha.
Yeah.
But also.
Damn, I just
so
knocked a
and this is
freaking
we're just gonna nerd out for a second. So your nods.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
trash can over.
We protect what we love
Yo.
to honor those who came before.
I just pick them up, put them like they were all. My helmet was all jacked up. I have them like extra secure. You have like the bungees on them, and then tied down also.
Were you running 15s or 31s?
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, Buck?
Dual tubes. Yep, the old school ones. But yeah,
Bug, what you up to, man?
it was funny after. Sure. We got chewed out pretty good for that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
what was the AR?
Right.
Everybody got chewed out for that one. It was like, I didn't do anything. You're like, I'm in trouble too. We're all in trouble. We get it. Like, and then we broke that down. Why? You know what I mean? And that was a big talk. And we didn't make that mistake again. Like, hey man, you got to say external breach. Like you got to call that. So we know if we hear a boom, there's not a bunch of dead people. Like we know what that boom is. So that was funny. That was a good time.
Yes.
That was hilarious. I was not happy.
No,
of course I couldn't. I was just like, they're like Drew, I'm like, They're like Drew, like yellow. Like what? They're like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, I don't know. Just give me a minute.
Got your bell rung pretty good.
Oh yeah, dude. My head smacked off that thing. Helmet all screwed up. Everything.
Just one of many concussions, though.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of concussions. So.
Gotcha. So
There
okay,
we
so
go.
your first three, so your third one was in Iraq
Right.
and Afghanistan.
First two were Iraq, third one was Afghanistan. Then we went back to Afghanistan again for like a few months to do like a kind of a low busy kind of thing.
What
right?
was that?
So that was.
Buck, you in here?
I was assigned to be an liaison officer for a general. Well, at the same time, we had this team there that was guys that I knew from 5th group, and they were doing basically like scouting, surveillance kind of stuff, right? They're setting things up and doing surveillance, but we had low-vis vehicles, we're dressing up and stuff, but we had to go.
All right, we're done talking to you or listening to you. Never met him, seen him before. Okay. No, no, no. Wait, what? Trent called me? The boy calls me when I'm streaming. Bro, I'm a famous streamer now. You can't just call me when I'm famous. And then he doesn't answer. Look at this guy.
Has been forwarded to.
All right. Oh shoot, I gotta change the title and game and all that good stuff. Boom. Alright, Overwatch. Now. Oh shoot, we gotta do the YouTube stuff now. Toot. Where is my tube? What? YouTube. Alright, and that one. Right, and then we're gonna